With some fortnight. That's a lady that's coming to Dublin next weekend.
Terribly overrated, Marty, isn't she?
I think she's one of the best in the business, Greg.
No, come on.
You're going to see one of the best in the business, that's for sure.
But Taylor Swift's a bit overrated, isn't she?
Yeah.
Are you afraid of the Swifties, Marty?
Yeah. I'll tell you, she's a
Have you any Swifties in your house? Is that the problem?
Did you see the documentary?
No.
Taylor Swift. Well, I'm telling you, you watch the documentary and then tell me. Very
okay.
Yeah.
It's funny, she went from country to pop, and all the pop stars are going to country now.
Yeah, I know. That's a bit of a... Yeah, different from her day. Thanks, Greg.
All right, okay.
Back
Cheers,
morning.
Marty.
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks very much indeed. He is back with you, as he just mentioned, bright and early tomorrow morning at 6:30. We're going to kick off the 9 till noon show after we get the news at 9, and it's over to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. Questions are being raised about the future of Fawn Health Centre after it emerged the nurse at the centre is to be relocated, with patients now being sent to either Buncrana or Muff. Local councillor Jack Murray says this prospect first emerged in March, and after a concerted campaign locally, the HSE promised the nurse would remain in situ and the centre would stay open. He says that the HSE needs to live up to those commitments now.
The HSE on the 21st of March have written to me saying they had no plans to relocate the nurse at that time, and that came as great reassurance to the people. But I've since been told that now patients in the area have been sent to Buncrana Primary Care Centre and to Muff, so it would appear that would fly in the face of the commitment that the HSE gave to me very, very recently. So I've been now calling on the HSE to live up to their promises. They said that there was no plans to relocate that nurse, to ensure that the nurse does remain in Fawn, because it caused huge concern at the time, and it will cause huge concern again.
Donegal Deputy Pearse Doherty is urging the government to find a solution to the imminent crisis facing Ardra community childcare. The centre serves over 100 children and 76 families in the area. It now hangs in limbo following a positive test for defective concrete. Deputy Doherty says with over 20 childcare facilities across the county known to have defective block issues, the government must come up with a scheme to remediate them quickly. A South Donegal today is accusing the government of using the EU Migration Pact to cover up its own failure to bring in efficient and humane systems to deal with refugees and people seeking international protection. Deputy Marion Harkin was one of the last TDs to speak in the Dáil on the pact before the debate and vote on it were adjourned until next week. In her contribution, Deputy Harkin said the Dublin 3 regulation clearly states out how asylum applications should be dealt with in Europe, and she asked why the government isn't following it.
One government TD after another have told us about the bright future where the migration system will work in an efficient, timely and humane way because we opt into this pact. Is the government actually saying to us it will take EU regulation to force us to put better systems in place? Because that's what it sounds like to me.
And the Fianna Fáil leader says he has no intention of stepping down. Micheál Martin is the only one of the 3 coalition party leaders who entered the government together in 2020 who will lead their party into the next general election. Last night he appointed Jack Chambers as deputy leader of Fianna Fáil, a position which had been vacant for 4 years. When speaking afterwards to reporters, Mr Martin said as the election looms, his focus remains on meeting the challenges facing the country.
I'm leading the party into the next general election, and what this is evidence of the fact that I'm very focused in terms of how we reorganise ourselves and how we can put in first-class performance. Not for ourselves alone, but we believe in terms of the big challenges facing this country, in terms of housing, in terms of health, we're up for those challenges.
Mostly cloudy today with isolated patches of rain and drizzle at times, but overall a fair amount of dry weather. Top temperatures 16 to 18 degrees Celsius in a light, occasionally moderate southwest wind, turning fresher near coasts. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news again at 10 o'clock. Check all of today's news on our website, highlandradio.com. But for now, from the news team, good morning.
You know what it's like when your mate sends you a pic of a dress she likes and you think, wait a minute, I would look so good in this. Well, Samsung's Galaxy S23 FE can help. Just draw a circle around the dress and Circle to Search with Google will help you find it. Sorry, Jen, it's not your colour. And send.
Incredible AI. Now on more Galaxy devices than ever. Buy a Galaxy S23 FE today at Samsung.com.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning. You're very welcome along to Thursday's 9 till noon show here in Highland Radio. I'm Greg Hughes here with you in the next 3 hours, and we have a busy 3 hours. We're going to have a detailed preview of the Donegal International Rally that's coming up in the last hour. So if you're into your rallying, make sure to stay tuned for that. That and so much more besides. Your views and comments more than welcome on the following numbers. For WhatsApp and text, it's 086 60 20 5000. If you want to send up your WhatsApp voice notes to that number, via WhatsApp of course, please feel free to do so. If you want to give us a call, it's 07491 25000. And for emails, it's comments at highlandradio.com. And if it suits you, and if you're at home and you want to watch the programme this morning, feel free to fire up your smart TV, open the YouTube app, put in Highland Radio Ireland, and we are there in glorious HD. And also, you can watch that on your Fire Stick as well. And we're across your mobile devices on Facebook and on the X platform. Thursday morning, always a busy one for the newspapers. Let's see what's making the headlines. The side story in the front of the Tyrconnell Tribune. Political concerns have grown this week with news that the Letterkenny-based Now.GP service is moving to new locations in the town, while the nursing service will be provided in future by CareDoc in Carlow. Now, this is a story we covered extensively at the time that it broke. These plans now are starting to come to fruition. Plans are reported to be at an advanced stage to route all calls to Carlow, and clarity is being sought as to what impact that will have in waiting times for processing Donegal calls. We are informed that there is going to be a three-way process as the service changes to CareDoc. The administration staff at the Old Town base will be transferred to the Millennium Court on Justice Walsh Road, while the doctors and drivers will be working from the hub on the Kilmacrennan Road. It's reported that Letterkenny is an extremely busy centre that requires 4 drivers in the period before midnight. This move is seen as a restructuring of the system as service appears to become more centralised, hundreds of miles away from rural and remote parts of Ireland. What do you think about that? I mean, in this day and age, and obviously if staff are affected by this, I support the staff, but in this day and age, does it matter where the call is answered if we're giving them our air code? I mean, obviously local knowledge is key, but can you have local knowledge of all the areas of Donegal, even if you're from within it? I don't know. The GPs are signing up for it, presumably, so they must see it at least as an improvement. But the calls being routed through Carlow might be of most concern to some. But what do you think? 086 60 20 5000. The Derry People Donegal News front page. I'm going nowhere. Business people on Letterkenny's main street and Market Square demanding answers from Donegal County Council after a large section of footpath was cordoned off due to safety concerns over dilapidated buildings. Last Friday, large barriers were erected around the footpath after structural engineers sounded the alarm. The safety concerns focus on 3 buildings that have been in a state of disrepair for more than a decade. I will refuse to leave because it's just not fair. Seriously, I'll glue myself to this place if necessary. It would cost a fortune to move location, and you always lose 10% of clientele when doing that. That's a quote from hairdresser Sarah, pictured in the paper today. On to, if that's the story that affects you, by the way, more than happy to hear from you. The Derry News this morning, people have used drones in over 140 operations in Derry over the last 3 years. The Derry News can reveal. Following a Freedom of Information request, the PSNI confirmed that drones were used in 141 operations since January 2021. Police confirmed that drones were used 32 times for aerial coverage, 2 search operations, 10 times for photo video purposes, 10 public order operations, 19 and on it goes. So they're using drones. On to the Irish Times now, and a lot of political speculation, of course. O'Gorman edges ahead of Hackett in the leadership contest. Roderick O'Gorman is probably the second most focused on politician in a negative way in the country. Probably, well, maybe even first. But certainly he was exchanging first and second with Eamon Ryan. Of course, we know Eamon Ryan's leaving politics after the next election. Roderick O'Gorman wants to take on the leadership of the Greens. He must have very thick skin, it has to be said. Roderick O'Gorman took an early lead in terms of public endorsements from the Green Party's elected representatives as the contest to become the next leader of the party shapes up as a showdown with one other candidate, Pippa Hackett. By yesterday evening, 12 of the 23 Green Party councillors returned in the local elections, had announced they were supporting Mr O'Gorman, compared with 1 for Ms Hackett. However, her supporters were out from early on to bat for their preferred candidate, with party chairwoman Senator Pauline O'Reilly, Minister of State Oisin Smith, and TDs Brian Ledden and Stephen Matthews backing her before she confirmed she was running yesterday afternoon. And it's a bit of a rural versus urban as well. She's originally from Mayo. Roderick O'Gorman, of course, Dublin based. Fianna Fáil are changing things around a bit too. Jack Chambers has been appointed deputy leader. I thought that had to be elected, but obviously not. The Greens elect their deputy leader, I believe. But anyway, the speculation is now that there could be a reshuffle. Fianna Fáil ministers believe the appointment of Jack Chambers as the party's deputy leader is the first sign of a cabinet reshuffle, with Finance Minister Michael McGrath widely now expected to become Ireland's next European Commissioner. Tánaiste Micheál Martin yesterday appointed Mr Chambers as his second in command. Mr Martin said the junior minister's performance overseeing Fianna Fáil's local elections campaign had convinced him to give Mr Chambers the job. He said Mr Chambers would be centrally involved in preparing the party for the general election, which he said would be in 8 months. However, ministers in Fianna Fáil believe the appointment could be a precursor to a cabinet reshuffle if Mr McGrath is elected to represent Ireland on the European Commission, and he gets elevated straight into a cabinet position, a full cabinet position, if someone else is moved out, I understand, as part of that. The Irish Daily Mail talks of a crackdown on lost passports. This is something that irked a lot of people out there, and they are claiming that they're cracking down on it now. A crackdown on people entering this country without passports has resulted in 100 prosecutions this year, after just 1 prosecution in the previous 5 years, following 3,000 airport spot checks. I'm not sure 100 prosecutions is a crackdown. But anyway, the government has wrapped up passport checks from destinations where flyers commonly arrive without proper documentation, having stood down the practice in 2020. It was resumed in February last year in a bid to address the number of asylum seekers arriving without documents. Earlier this month, the Cabinet approved increased fines for airlines that allow passengers on board without a passport or valid visa from 3,000 to 5,000. Asylum seeker arrivals in the last month, a total of 1,916 have arrived in the last month. But where are they from? Mostly from Jordan, then Nigeria, Palestine, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Somalia, then Zimbabwe, Syria and Georgia. 422 from Jordan, 375 from Nigeria, 198 from Palestine. On to the Farmers Journal now, and allegations of emerging black market for fertilizer. A black market for fertilizer is developed as a result of the new Department of Agriculture fertilizer registration. The Acorn Group of Independent Merchants has claimed farmers in the Republic are buying fertilizer directly from Northern Ireland merchants, specifically to sidestep the requirement to register the purchases. Acorn CEO Barry Larkin told the Irish Farmers Journal. Is this pretty common practice up here? Essentially, though, the fertiliser database has created a black market for the trade of fertiliser, similar to coal and bale wrap, said Larkin, and whole heating oil and petrol and everything else. A northern business can collect fertiliser from any southern port for it to then be delivered to a farmer within 50 kilometres of the port and repeat the exercise endlessly. Right, now on to the Irish Daily Star, and apparently the Department of Agriculture was aware of fraudulent practices involving the slaughter of horses at meat factories for several years before they were exposed in a shocking RTE investigation programme. That probe found that microchips in horses were being falsified to allow potentially contaminated horse meat into the human food chain. Finance Minister Michael McGrath told the Dáil last week that the department had launched an investigation as soon as RTE's allegations aired, but evidence that microchips were being falsified was provided to the department back in 2018. So what it looks like here effectively is that, you know, the government knew, the Department of Agriculture knew something was going on to some extent. Clearly, they weren't all over the place because a lot of bad stuff was still happening. The cameras go in, pick it up, and now all of a sudden everyone jumps into action. Minister for Agriculture Charlie McConalogue was also informed of the practice in an email while he was Fianna Fáil's spokesperson for agriculture that year, and the Star has learned a veterinary inspector raised concerns on March 13th, 2018 after he scanned the carcasses of 7 horses at a slaughterhouse and found 6 of them contained 2 microchips. Now that's problematic. Not to mention the amount of alleged horrendous activity that happened between 2018, when people were notified of something going on there, and 2024, when the cameras went in and all of a sudden everyone jumped into action. A disturbing story in the Irish Daily Mirror and other papers. 3 gay men were hunted by up to 6 others with knives in Phoenix Park, the Shannon has heard. Fine Gael Senator Barry Ward said he had been contacted by one of the men involved following the incident on Monday evening. It followed a social media post by another of the victims who said, "All my LGBTQ friends, please avoid the Phoenix Park. Me and my 2 friends were literally hunted in the park for over an hour by a car full of men who jumped out of the car, leaving all doors open, and proceeded to chase us with knives, addressing us with gay slurs. We hid in 3 ditches before we made it to an exit, which took over an hour because they were driving around the park looking for us." Raising the matter yesterday in the Shannon, Senator Ward said one of the other men had also been in touch with him. And on to the Sun. And this is an interesting issue that I have my own views on, but there's many mixed views out there. Calls are growing for sub-minimum wage rates for youngsters to be axed. The current national minimum wage is $12.70 per hour, but it's just $11.43 for those aged 19, 90% of the rate. 18-year-olds get 80% of the rate, $10.16, while for those aged 17 and under, it drops to 70% or $8.89. Now, I don't think, we as young teenagers or mid-teens benefit an awful lot from going into the workplace. Maybe we don't have as many bills or what have you, and maybe there's a stronger argument for the reduced rate there, especially to keep the pressure off businesses. But what are your views on an 18-year-old in this day and age getting €10.16 per hour, probably doing the same job, arguably with less experience, and they're standing beside someone who is 21 or 20, and they're getting $12.70 per hour? Do you think that there is a strong argument to retain the sliding scale minimum wage, or do you believe that if you are good enough, you're old enough, and everyone should be getting the same wage? And I suppose as we head into the summer, well, lots of you young people will be either entering the workforce or just working for the summer. It's going to be a topic of interest to many of you out there. So what do you think? Do you think the sliding scale is fair? Do you think that if you're doing the job other people are doing in the same place, in the same sort of scenario, you should be getting the same money? Let us know. That or any other topic that you want to talk about to 086 60 25,000. Get your phone out, by the way. I know you're sitting there with the view in your mind and you've got your opinion and you're thinking, I don't text radio stations. Well, give us your view. Everybody's view to this programme is equal to the others. So just type out what you feel in a text or WhatsApp and send it in to us. And then your view sort of goes into the groupthink, and is groupthink negative? Anyway, you know what I'm trying to say. But if you don't text radio stations, text your own local radio station. We want to hear from you. 086 60 25,000.
Daily newspapers are courtesy of Kelly's Centra and Diner, Mountaintop Letterkenny, winner of Best Family Dining at the Highland Radio Hospitality Awards. The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Don't miss the 32nd annual Finn Valley Show at Russell Brothers Farm, Killygordon on Saturday 29th of June, featuring the usual dog, home industries, poultry, sheep, cattle, horse and pony classes, as well as the Fast and Furious Donkey Derby. There will be a show and shine tractor competition judged by Kirsty Ward from Grassmen, with live music from Anthony Redstone, trade stands and children's entertainment. It's sure to be a family fun day at the Finn Valley Show on Saturday 29th. This ad is sponsored by Clonley Co-op, serving the farming community since 1952.
Allegations of black market fertilizer sales. For more in your Irish Farmers Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
Merchants claim farmers are sidestepping the new Department Fertilizer Register. Fears of further payment delays for 20,000 acres farmers. Government accused of overlooking small woodland owners. 1 in 5 suckler farmers plan to reduce stock numbers. Concerns over total ban on horse slaughter. Elderly farmer denied grant over cash payment. And UK demand for Irish beef expected to increase.
All inside the Irish Farmers Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
With over 1,000 TFI Local Link door-to-door services nationwide, if you're on our route, we're on our way. To use the service, simply pre-book the day before you want to travel with your TFI Local Link office. To find out more about door-to-door services in your area, visit transportforireland.ie. We're Transport for Ireland. We're Transport for you.
Get ready for Rally Weekend at Voodoo Venue Letterkenny, Donegal's premier entertainment venue, where tomorrow night playing live It's My Generation. Exquisite luxury and incredible entertainment at Voodoo Venue Letterkenny, proud associate sponsor of the Donegal International Rally.
Extensive preview of the rally coming up after 11. Stay tuned for that. So yesterday we learnt that 3,350 more women suffered physical violence from stabbings to strangulations in 2023 compared to 2022 in record disclosures of domestic abuse to Women's Aid. An additional 520 women revealed they had been sexually abused, including over 300 who said they had been raped in 2023. In total, Women's Aid received more than 40,000 disclosures of abuse against women and children last year, the highest ever in the organisation's 50-year history. The charity said the scale of abuse was staggering. Regular guest on this programme is Dr. Marie Hainsworth, manager of Donegal Domestic Violence. And Marie joins us now. Thank you so much for your time this morning. I do appreciate it.
Thanks, Greg. No, it's no bother at all.
Now, we're speaking yesterday, we're reflecting today on the figures yesterday from Women's Aid. And I suppose the question of interest to us here is, are we seeing similar trends in our area?
Well, unfortunately, yes. I haven't got the breakdown of Women's Aid's report in terms of when that increase started, because I've noticed for us, certainly from the middle of last year, there seems to have been quite a marked increase. So, the figures overall for 22 and 23 would be quite similar, but there's been a massive increase since the middle of last year. And already our reports now for the first 4 months of this year are 35% of an increase from the previous 2 years. So there's definitely been something that's been happening, over the last 9 or 10 months. And it's been reflected, more than Women's Aid as well. We've had a number of increase now in terms of sexual assault, quite vicious and violent sexual assaults, and also stabbing. So, it's not a Dublin issue, and it's not, from other parts of the country. It does seem to be nationwide that this has kind of taken off, or maybe it's just an unprecedented level of reporting and responding to events. We're not quite clear where it's coming from at the moment.
And that is the big question that often remains unanswered and still does today, I suppose. Is this about an increase of violence towards women, or is this about, greater awareness, I suppose, amongst those that women who have been victims might engage with? I'm thinking, GPs or their legal representatives, or even, learning the services are there through conversations like this? Or is it, and I suppose it's always going to be a mix, isn't it? Or is it that more women are actually being, are actual victims of domestic violence?
I think that there's definitely an increase in the severity of attacks, because that's what's bringing frontline services in. So the guards would have always been called out to domestic violence incidents, but I think the increased level of violence means that they're being called out more often. So that unfortunately is definitely one of the areas. You've also got people coming forward in terms of, just general awareness. You've got a multitude of different cultures coming in with different approaches to violence that are now beginning to kind of slot into the way that we view it. So you've got more reports coming through from other cultures. And you've probably got a bit more confidence in terms of services. There's been a lot of awareness raising over the last couple of years. I think COVID really highlighted the dangers of not being able to get into families, not being able to kind of work with issues earlier on. So there's definitely been an escalation in terms of both interventions and also in reporting as well as of incidents. So unfortunately, I think it's probably across the board. We're just seeing a massive increase in all these areas. And it's not just our service. I know all the other agencies working with vulnerable families at the moment are noticing the same level of increase. Mental health services, addiction services, homeless services are all noting that the level of complexity and the number of kind of high-risk cases coming forward just seem to be increasing at the moment.
And I'm only asking this question, I suppose, in the interest maybe of raising awareness generally, and maybe pointing out that we we all need to be allies to people, regardless of where they are or who they are or whatever. When you talk of different cultures and the impact on figures, is that significant enough to sort of match the increases that you're seeing in the figures locally, if I could put it like that?
Yeah, I don't think so, because I know, like, I'm just thinking of 4 cases recently that were quite high, in terms of very serious sexual assaults and a stabbing, and all of the victims were kind of local women, if you know what I mean, and they were white, they were local, they were Irish, as were the perpetrators. So, at one level we're seeing a massive increase locally, as well as I think what we're seeing, with other cultures is maybe there was a delay in terms of them coming forward and reporting until they got used to services and what was around. But we're not seeing a massive influx.
You're not seeing an overrepresentation necessarily.
No, I think what we're doing now is beginning to see an appropriate representation, whereas in the past we might have, been trying to target particular groups because we weren't getting any referrals or people coming through. I think we are now across the board, from most cultures, definitely, that have been here a while. So that piece has kind of streamlined a little bit, but it doesn't explain, not the massive increase.
What, like, I can't see this trend changing unless something changes. And neither you, certainly not me, but it'd be very difficult for you to have all the answers, Dr. Hainsworth. But what should or could we be doing? More deterrent, more education? The awareness is great, but if it just means that more people are coming through, still the victims of crime, do you know what I mean? How are we even beginning to sort of drill down into what we can do so that women are more safe, particularly in their own homes, of course?
Yeah, I think part of the message is that, to take action, so we are encouraging people to come forward, because I think the more people who take action, the more that message infiltrates through into communities, because we are hearing that. We're hearing people going, it's not okay to hit your wife in this country because she can leave and she has rights and she has entitlements, so we've definitely heard that message getting through. But also within our own populations, if people know that there are consequences, then I think that's the only way that you're going to change people's attitudes. You can do all the awareness raising you like, but it has to follow through with action. So people do need to see that there are consequences. They do need to see that the systems are working. And I think maybe that's why we're getting people through now. We are seeing that system working. Not always in the best way, but we are getting it through. I think we just need to keep doing more of what we're doing. We need to make sure that the services can continue to provide through, and that includes housing, which is the big problem,
Yeah.
So we don't want that risk of homelessness being the reason that people are staying in violent relationships. And at the moment, that is a bit of a challenge.
And how many cases would you see a week, Marie? Just to give us a sense of what's going on locally.
Well, it varies, but there were a couple of weeks there in April where we worked with 85 families in 1 week. Now, some of those are a lot of those are ongoing cases, obviously, but that gives you the scale. I've always said that we work with maybe 100 families a month. That figure has gone up now to maybe 150 families, and that's been steadily increasing since the middle of last year. And again, no particular reason other than maybe we are offering more services, so we're keeping people in the service longer and then adding new clients as they come in. But definitely the needs are increasing. People need support with legal information. They need support with managing access, housing, accommodation, safety planning, working through what's happening, and we are able to offer all of those supports, but it really is a complex issue. It's not something that's a quick fix, it is a long-term intervention, and that's what's needed by all services, I think.
Yeah, the scale is shocking. Dr. Marie Hainsworth, as always, thank you. Just to remind anyone listening to this, and if it's brought something up for them, or they feel now is the time for them to reach out, how do they contact Donegal Domestic Violence?
Well, we have a helpline number. The free phone number is 1800 262677. We do also have a website, donegaldomesticviolenceservices.ie, that has all our other contact information, or you can email the service on ddvs refuge or refuge@ddvs1.com. Thanks
so much for your time. Dr. Marie Hainsworth, Manager of Donegal Domestic Violence Services, and you heard the numbers from Dr. Marie herself there on the increase. and the level of violence too, very concerning. We had a contact from a listener that said to us, regarding Letterkenny University Hospital, at present there are no employees working in complaints or in the complaints department of the hospital. One retired, the other is off sick. No one answers the phone. No one deals with mail. Cannot get an appointment with anyone to escalate a complaint, which is serious. Can you, through your channels, ask why there's no personnel in that department? Is it to limit the number of complaints or to negate the number of complaints so that they go into the sunset instead of being dealt with? Does RTE have to do an undercover programme regarding Letterkenny University Hospital before we get proper care for Donegal people? They ask. I don't think that's going to happen. But anyway, we contacted the HSC on your behalf, and they said there are a number of ways to make a complaint about a service received in the hospital. You can give feedback in person, by phone, although this listener claims the phone's not being answered, through a complaints office, by email or letter or feedback form. Now, the concern is here that no one answers the phone and your letters and emails go unanswered. That's the actual claim, but the hospital says, or the HSC says, you can use those channels. That being said, there are currently staff shortages within the Consumer Services Department in LUH, which is impacting the time it takes for us to respond to complaints. The HSC apologise for this delay and are using all available resources to expedite and resolve complaints for our patients. The Patients Advice and Liaison Officer in LUH can help to resolve any difficulties that arise in relation to a hospital service, and that office is open from Monday to Thursday 9 to 5, Friday 9 to 1:30. PALS can be contacted by email pals.luh@hsc.ie. So they recognise there are staffing issues, they recognise there are delays, but they do state that you can still phone, email or post a letter or fill out a feedback form, and there is a Patients Advice and Liaison Officer there dealing with it. But obviously that's not the experience of this emailer, or they wouldn't have emailed us in the first place. Now, you may not be satisfied with the answer, but that is the answer that we have received. Another thing that another one we've been chasing up. Greg, a listener, says, my elderly uncle is in need of a neurology appointment at Letterkenny University Hospital, so I rang just to see where he might be on the list, thinking it might be 3 or 4 months. So imagine my shock when they said it could be years, and they couldn't give me a number on those years. What kind of service is this? Letterkenny is a disgrace. Do the people of Donegal not count? So just to recap, rang on behalf of the uncle, needs a neurology appointment. The uncle is elderly, as described here, and was told that it could be years, but that number of years not specified. The response. The Cialta Group is committed to progressing the development of a neurology service for Letterkenny University Hospital. It is a strategic priority for the group to develop and progress the Cialta Neurology Clinical Service Review 24 once finalised. The group are also currently finalising the priorities for the service plan for 25, and the development of the neurology services in LUH forms part of that plan. The HSC publishes estimated waiting times for outpatient hospital appointments, and that data is updated weekly, and there's a list there. But anyway, the wait time at the moment, estimated wait time, 285 days. Now, if that comes to 284 days and your appointment is cancelled, not available, I'd love to see where it goes back to again. Is that 280 days from now and someone's seen? I don't know. But anyway, 285 days is the estimated wait time for a neurology appointment. In Sligo, it's 446 days. I mean, that's a broken service, isn't it?
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Planning on renovating your garden this summer? Then look no further than Dealside Garden Furniture. With a full range of sizes in garden sheds, summer houses, playhouses, outdoor canopies, fencing and much more. Now available to view and buy on dealsidegardenfurniture.ie. Dealside Garden Furniture Lifford. Made to measure and one-off designs are our speciality.
Is é isce an Fontas Náisiúnta Isce na Héireann. Tá isce an Freiburg as isce ó Feibli Náisiúnta ó Hóláthar de Éireann. Isce tá dlán, sa bháilte agus íon taofa. De bhreis sin tá sé Freiburg as servicí fiol isce a chur fáil don tír. Mother le hain chesh fi servicey no can aibe de chiantar hir ishku. Is fei de dulle jagval la hiske herren, vihikar or sala, shock la na shochtana. Eg hain ok na naj, do shocked okt, do shocked a hooked. Ishke Erin. Eg sola her servicey ishke de Erin.
It's time to visit Ireland's newest Lexus dealership, Lexus Letterkenny. With 50 years of experience, you can trust us in this new era of electrification. Experience our all-electrified range, including the stunning ES Hybrid Saloon and our award-winning range of plug-in hybrid SUVs. And view our finance offers, including the all-new LBX. Start your 2-for-1 journey with Lexus Letterkenny Port Road. Lexus. Experience amazing.
Join me, Marty Friel, this and every Friday night from 8 for Rockin' Hits on Highland Radio in association with Arena 7 Letterkenny. If you're celebrating a birthday or a work night out, Arena 7 Entertainment Complex has it all. Check out arena7.ie.
From outdoor lighting to interior floor and ceiling lights and lamps, Foy & Company's lighting department at Ballybuffet and Letterkenny have everything you need for your home or garden. If you're unsure about the type of lighting that might work for your space, reach out to one of our team members who'll be more than happy to help. We work with commercial and residential clients. Lighting is an important part of a room's design, so it's worth getting right. See the difference at Foy & Company of Ballybuffet and Letterkenny.
There are serious concerns over the future of Ardra Community Childcare Services in Donegal as the building is suffering the impacts of defective concrete blocks. Now, this is not just an Ardra issue. This is right across the country, and recent figures suggest that 45%, I think it's 45% of childcare facilities across the county could be lost to defective concrete over the next 4 or 5 years. We spoke recently about the issues in Raphoe. We spoke recently about the issues in Letterkenny. I did have an opportunity to put this point to Taoiseach Simon Harris. In the context of the defective concrete block scheme, he first of all committed to meet with representatives of affected childcare groups. He made that commitment on this programme. I'm not quite sure if anyone chased him up on that offer, but he did agree to meet with them directly and also to work with other departments to see if there are ways of addressing these issues. So I think it's important. Until something is done, it matters not. But the Taoiseach himself has committed to meet with representatives of these affected groups personally, and he made that commitment on this show. I'm not sure if that's been taken up. It should be taken up, I think, because then that's another meeting, another statement on the record. And that's really quite important as we move forward to get people on the record as to what they believe. Local Sinn Féin councillor to the Ardra area is Brian Carr. He's with us now. Brian, good morning.
Morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm okay. Talk to us about the Ardra Community Childcare Group. I suppose the amount of families it supports, I suppose, and the amount of children that are cared for there.
Yeah, well, I'll just go back to the start. During the canvass, I just knocked at one of the local doors, and a young lady came out and she explained to me that the building had just been recently received the bad news about the positive test, and she asked me to call in. So the following week, I visited the Ardra Community Childcare Centre and met with manager Sinead, and she showed me around and explained how it all came about. You noticed the cracks, and it became more progressive, and they got the tests and that done. And she told me that the good help, as you just said there in your introduction there, that we were able to reach out to other childcare facilities like Raphoe and Letterkenny for advice on what steps to take. And one of the next steps they took was to contact all the elected reps and everything in the area. And just on another day, we were canvassing, and I had Pierce Doherty and Paddy McLaughlin with me in Ardra, and we met the chairperson of the group, David Kelly, and he asked to bring it further, because as he said himself, there's 76 families involved, and it's over 100 children, the ages from 3 months to 15 years of age, and it covers the area of 6 national schools. And like, parents just can't live without this service in Ardra. It's been, it's an operation for more than 40 years on that area, and that purpose-built premises since 2007. And they just, at the moment, they're just in limbo. They're worried. They don't know their future. They just don't know what's going to happen. and even to replace the building that they're in, which is a fantastic facility, it could cost millions. And
I just thought in relation to that, the response from Minister Roderick O'Gorman, isn't it? He responded in a Dáil. He's the commitment seemingly coming from his department is that if they find somewhere else to move to, that they'll be supported in doing that. But really, I mean, if you look at this building, obviously it's starting to the defective minerals are destroying it. It's a beautiful modern building on a beautiful modern site, and there doesn't seem to be any language of funding a rebuild or what have you. It's like if you find somewhere else to move in the local area, there are funding models that can sort of help support that. That's not really an answer, is it? I don't think that's going to be satisfying because the solution would be surely to toss what's there and rebuild it with proper materials.
It's what they Greg, 100%. That's kind of a generic answer, I would say, to all the community groups that are raising this. And when Deputy Doherty and McLaughlin got to raise this and the Dáil, that's the answer that came back, that he would support move to another premises. But even locating another premises in the area, within the town or within the community in Ardra, it's impossible because of such the size and the modern building that they have. To get something similar to that, it's near impossible. And the funding is the one. They need to know where the money's going to come from to rebuild. The department needs a scheme. There's no scheme within the department to say this. It's not as if it's a once-off thing.
Yeah,
it's this here, as you said. There's 20 supposedly reported, nearly 20 community centres and creches and everything in Donegal alone that's going to need funding for this.
All right, stay there a second.
They need to put a plan in place.
Let's hear what Simon Harris said on this show.
Let's see if we can find a way to help these childcare facilities, even if it's outside of the context of the current scheme. If there are other ways we can help and support them, I'm very happy to engage with both the Department of Housing and the Department of Children and see if we can make progress on that, because what we certainly want is an expansion of childcare places, not a reduction. We certainly don't want our childcare facilities that aren't safe in terms of defective concrete either. I'm offering this morning on Highland, if people wish to send me correspondence on that I'll personally engage with the Department of Children and the Department of Housing on behalf of that group.
So hopefully that's been taken up on, because as I say, as we go on this journey, it's very important to get every box ticked. And if you have the Taoiseach saying, get in touch with me, I'll personally take an interest in this, I hope that's been taken up on, because even then, if something doesn't happen next time in the Dáil or next time he's on this show, he can be challenged on that.
Yeah, and I'm sure that any of the facilities that heard that on your show that day, I'm sure they have made correspondence to him or written to him, and I know that Deputy Doherty and McLaughlin will definitely be taking him to task on that and getting funding. As I say again, the funding is the problem to replace this, knock it down, rebuild in the exact same space, same area. There's car parking, there's everything, there's all the facilities there, rather than to try and move to another site and maybe not have all these things in place. So the department just needs a proper scheme in place for all these community groups, these childcare groups and everything, and don't leave them in limbo. Don't leave them sitting wondering. Have a meeting. His proposal was to meet with Pobble and all that. They have that arranged now, so that's the next step that the Ardra Childcare are taking.
But the problem is, as you see, Brian, if you don't mind me just intervening here, is that everyone is. This is a new journey for people. Some people are well down that road. I'll correct myself. I think it's 40% of childcare in Donegal. They may have to close in the next few years because of buildings becoming unfit for purpose. Letterkenny are 5 years down that this path. By the way, they've been requesting support to relocate. Government departments and agencies have been aware of them for 5 long years. I'm not sure when it became very clear what the situation is in Ardra, but Raffo needs to be demolished as well. 22 other services affected by this from all over the county. As I say, they're all at different stages. It's 40% of these facilities at the moment. But, if Letterkenny Childcare, for an example, have been at this for 5 years and still no progress, it's worrying, isn't it, for others that are beginning to sort of feel the impacts of these deleterious materials in the blocks.
It is, yeah. It's very worrying for the Ardra group. That's when I met with Sinead. That was one of the things she said. She just doesn't know where. But it was, I know it's not a great way to say it, but they had the assistance of the people in Rafo and the people in Letterkenny who has done this journey for 5 years, and they were helping Ardra along, and they were giving them, ideas of where to go here, how to do this, and what's next, and they were able to give them kind of nearly a progression report of where things are from where they are now, which their report only came through in February.
Yeah.
So they're in the very early stages. But when it is a childcare facility as well, if the blocks deteriorate quicker than other premises, you can't. It's just not safe to have children in a premise like that.
No, of course it's not.
So
right.
it's progression, but they're in limbo at the moment, and they just need the department to come on board with them and give them 100% redress on this issue.
Yeah, unfortunately though, your party's not committed to that either, Brian.
Well, that's community centres and childcare and everything. They are 100% behind that. 100% behind that, Greg.
All right, okay. I didn't realise that was part of the People's document that Sinn Féin signed up to. But anyway, that's fine. If that's what you're stating, it must be the truth. Thank you very much indeed, Brian. Thanks for helping us highlight it. Go ahead. Did you want to say something else, sorry?
No, it's okay. No, you're fine. Thanks, Greg.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take care. Thanks very much indeed, Councillor Brian Carr there. So just a bit of reaction, obviously, just to remind you of this story, because we've been covering it for quite some time. The Letterkenny Childcare, Letterkenny Community Childcare, they led that picket outside the council offices on the day of voting in the local elections, and it was the day before that I spoke to Simon Harris. The Letterkenny Community Childcare manager Geraldine Burke was understandably a little sceptical because of experiences in the past. Let's remind ourselves of what she had to say to the offer from Taoiseach Simon Harris. No, I can't hear that. Okay. Oh, let me see. Try that one more time.
To hear, but I wrote to the previous Taoiseach and I got a response, and I also wrote to Minister O'Gorman, the Minister of Children, and I got a response from him, but his response was a sustainability fund. We are sustainable. We need capital funding. And we are one of many groups, as I said in my email, 24 groups have identified both community and private. And I think government has a responsibility to cover both sections of the sector.
Yeah, so that was Geraldine Burke speaking to me on the 30th of May.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Imagine a wedding venue that can be hired exclusively for you and your guests. Picture stunning views overlooking one of Donegal's most scenic beaches, an authentic country manor as your accommodation, incredible glass-fronted marquee views all day, and a team of experts who want to help you plan every step of the way. Sounds too good to be true? Not at Drumhalla House in Rathmullen. It really has to be seen to be believed. Visit drumhallahouse.ie or check out Drumhalla House on Instagram for more details.
Because your no claims bonus matters to you, it matters to us. That's why all AXA car insurance policies include accident forgiveness as standard. So you'll never lose all of your no claims bonus if you have an accident or a claim is made against you. Get a quote today at axa.ie. AXA. Know you can. Policy terms and conditions apply. Accident forgiveness is step back. No claims discount protection for customers with 4 or more years. No claims discount. AXA Insurance DAC is authorised and regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
House Proud Super Summer Sale is now on. There's over £5 million of warehouse stock ready for immediate delivery, with an extra 15% of everything in store and online. We won't be beaten on price. Shop in store today at our flagship store, Abercorn Square, Strabane, or House Proud Omagh.
Visit Heron Auto Donegal Town for an incredible range of Kia 242 offers. Check out our range of diesel, hybrid, plug-in hybrid and fully electric EVs, as well as exciting models like the new 7-seat Sorento. With finance available from 0%, a free home charger and a €500 super value gift card on all orders before June 30th. Visit Heron Auto Killybegs Road, Donegal Town or see heronauto.ie.
Kia, movement that inspires.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhinney's. Support a local Donegal business with McElhinney's. From fashion to home essentials, find everything you need for any occasion. Shop McElhinney's Ballybuffet for quality you can trust.
Well, it was a nice summer yesterday. Today, mostly cloudy with isolated light patches of rain and drizzle at times. Overall, though, a fair amount of dry weather. Temperatures 16 to 18 degrees. It is going to get warmer into next week. Warmer nights too, actually, which is something we haven't experienced for a while. And just so you are aware, I'm sure you are, there is a blight warning across the county until Monday, if your spud's in. Right, there was an interesting story that was in the Irish Mirror. Funerals and other religious services in a parish are continuously being interrupted by someone using a loudspeaker to blast sexual vulgarities on a loop into the church grounds. Dara McDonough is a reporter with the Irish Mirror and joins us on the phone now to give us a bit more background to this. Thanks so much, Dara.
Morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So, Dara, paint the picture. What's happening and where?
Yeah, well, where is a tiny rural parish called Kilgubnet near Dungarvan in County Waterford? And what is happening sounds a little bit like an episode of Father Ted, but it's quite a bit more serious for the parishioners and mass goers down there. It's a situation that's been going on for several weeks now, I understand, and what's happened is an individual with a loudspeaker has taken to blasting offensive audio material into the graveyard and the church grounds during mass times and particularly during funerals. Now, as I say, it's a serious situation. People have had to listen to vulgarities being played on a loop while they attend church and while they bury their loved ones, I suppose, which is a bleak scenario, as anyone could imagine.
Also, too, what is the legalities of this? Because, I mean, is the material so offensive that that's a crime? I'm not sure. Can the volume be used to sort of address this issue? Like, is that clear as to? I mean, this is horrible and it's offensive, but is it illegal?
That is a tricky area, and I think that is probably the reason why it's persisting for several weeks, Greg. Gardaí have confirmed that they are investigating the situation, but locals tell me that it isn't cut and dry, it's not black and white, because the volume that the offensive material is being blasted at falls short of what would be considered noise pollution. Mm-hmm. So I suppose there's a question about what law, if any, this individual is breaking by doing this thing that's obviously offending so many people. Now, the Gardaí did take a more hands-on approach last week, I think, during a particularly tragic funeral. They maintained a presence surrounding the cemetery to ensure that the individual didn't interrupt proceedings on that occasion. But obviously, it's not practical that they would do that every Sunday or during every funeral. So, as Gardaí say, investigations are continuing. But in the meantime, locals are very perturbed by this. One person described the scenario of attending Mass and listening to the priest give his sermon. And all the while in the background, there are, as you say, sexual vulgarities playing on a loop outside the church, and it can be heard inside. And they described that scenario as something like something from The Omen.
And I mean, we can't get into details, but is this a recording of the person's voice, or are they okay? And have we been able to ascertain, and we can speculate because we don't know who the person is and we're not identifying them, what their motivation might possibly be? I presume locals are scratching the head, but there's bound to be some local knowledge of whoever's responsible.
Yeah, it is known who's responsible, and I understand it's an individual who has had grievances with many members of the local community going over a few years, and also a dispute with the church authorities. So there is a history of some dispute and consternation with this person, and they obviously have an axe to grind with the local community, or perhaps with the local church. But this is the very unusual way that they are choosing to grind it, I suppose. It is known who it is, and I understand the Gardaí have spoken to the individual, but they have not desisted.
But if that person is familiar with the law, as many people are now, people feel quite powerful in that. If they're familiar with the law, they've issues with authority, they'll probably relish taking on the Gardaí on this one. Dara, it's really interesting. I can only imagine how hurtful it is for those that are the victims or see themselves as the victims of this. And we'll watch with interest. Dara McDonough, thank you very much for your time. Dara is a reporter with the Irish Mirror. It's a shocking one down in Dungarvan. It's been going on for ages, for weeks, sorry. Right, as we head towards the news at 10. Hi, Greg. Sinn Féin have not signed up in full to the People's Document. Sinn Féin stated that in government they will only give 100% redress to homeowners, not those with an additional house. Community buildings are not covered by the Sinn Féin plan, which is what I said. The one thing that is vitally important, and I'm not laying the blame at anyone, is that there's so much anguish and distress that we don't verbally sign checks that we can't cash. Do you know what I mean? And I feel I have to be. I'm not accusing Brian of that. Don't get me wrong, but I feel I have a responsibility to, obviously, whoever is in power at the time, you have to hold them to account. But also, if there are other groups that are promising whatever they might promise, it's very important that that's also put on the record and put into account. We had a conversation at the end of the show. Now, some of you might have different listening patterns, or some of you might have work to go to or to pick someone up or whatever it might be. Towards the end of the programme yesterday, we spoke to a lady called Ailish. Her sister, Olivia, has motor neuron disease, and Olivia has deteriorated really quite rapidly, and she requires around-the-clock support. Her husband, Brendan, is doing absolutely everything he can, supported by the wider family. But it's too much for them. That's effectively it. They don't have the resources, the time, the experience to fit it all in, because there's other things going on as well. They can't get support for Olivia because Olivia's not over 65. The possibility of getting a grant for 25 hours a week of care, but they're struggling because, they don't know what's the qualifications, where do you go, how do you look for that, and all that type of stuff. So they really are in an awful situation. But I'm just asking you, if you didn't hear that and you might be interested in it, or maybe even you could offer some help, support, or advice, maybe to go onto the podcast. And it's the last, I believe it's the last 10 minutes of the show in part 3 from yesterday. But some reaction to that, because obviously we went off air just as we said goodbye to Ailish. Well done to Ailish on highlighting Olivia's plight this morning. It's an absolute disgrace the way this poor family is being treated. And there's other ones in relation to that, which I'll come back to. Greg, my elderly uncle is in need of a neurology appointment, so we actually covered that one. Right, okay, we got the answer to that. Morning, the white lines following the planes are not normal. The mess left as a result of these white lines is not going away. Cloud seeding at its absolute finest. People need to start looking up and not staring at their phones. Well, you're getting a lot of the information on the phones, but I take your point. Malin, the island's best kept village. Lots of congratulations came in. Congratulations to Malin, and well deserved from your near neighbours, Buncrana, Tidy Towns. Stay with us. We've got so many more of your comments to get through, and plenty to keep you informed and entertained, I hope. But we're going to take a short break now as we bring you the news and the obituary notices. Chat to you soon.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Get ready for Rally Weekend at Voodoo Venue Letterkenny, Donegal's premier entertainment venue, where tomorrow night playing live It's My Generation. Exquisite luxury and incredible entertainment at Voodoo Venue Letterkenny. Proud associate sponsor of the Donegal International Rally.
If you know the beauty and skincare product that suits you best, you'll find them at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. From moisturisers, cleansers and toners to day creams and night creams, McGee's have the top brands you know and love, like Lancôme, Clarins and La Roche-Posay. Also Elizabeth Arden, Vichy, Nukes and many more. All at McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny, and online at mcgees.ie, where the best costs less.
At Screwfix, you can click and collect over 10,000 trade products in as little as 1 minute. So whether it's a power drill in Portlaoise or guttering in Galway, when you need it yesterday, just click at screwfix.ie and collect at your local store 7 days a week. T's and C's apply. Visit screwfix.ie for full details.
It's your fault. You deserve it. It's all in your head. They don't mean it. They can change. Recognising male domestic abuse can be hard. Seeking support can be harder. For confidential advice and support, free phone the National Male Advice Line on 1-800-816-588. MAL, more than just a helpline.
I've been surfing all morning at FlemingLTD.com to find out about Fleming Doors, Fleming Steel and Fleming Coatings and their full range of products. So come surfing with me at FlemingLTD.com. Fleming, 91 48 234.
Foy & Company in Ballybuffet and Letterkenny are the largest stockists of paint and wallpapers in the Northwest. Our qualified colour consultants and interior design team will help you create a beautiful space designed for your needs. We work with commercial and residential customers, have all the largest brands and can match any colour. We stock all the interior and exterior paint along with all the painting accessories you'll need to completely transform your space at Foy & Company in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's Katie Gillen with the news at 10 o'clock. The HSE says there are no plans to move the public health nurse from Fawn Health Centre and that public health nurse services continue to be provided there. Earlier questions were raised about the future of Fawn Health Centre after local councillor Jack Murray said his understanding was the nurse was being relocated and patients were being referred to either Buncrana or Muff. A South Donegal TD has accused the government of using the EU Migration Pact to cover up its own failure to being inefficient and humane systems to deal with refugees and people seeking international protection. Deputy Marion Herkin was one of the last TDs to speak in the Dáil on the Pact last night before the debate and vote was adjourned until next week. The Seanad has already voted in favour of the Pact by 30 votes to 11. In her contribution, Deputy Herkin said the Dublin 3 regulation already clearly sets out how asylum applications are dealt with in Europe and asked why the government isn't following it.
One government TD after another have told us about the bright future where the migration system will work in an efficient, timely and humane way because we opt into this pact. Is the government actually saying to us it will take EU regulation to force us to put better systems in place? Because that's what it sounds like to me.
Donegal Deputy Pierce Doherty is urging the government to find a solution to the imminent crisis facing Ardra Community Childcare. The centre serves over 100 children and 76 families in the area, but now hangs in limbo following a positive test for defective concrete. Deputy Doherty says with over 20 childcare premises affected in the county, a remediation scheme must be introduced as a matter of urgency. The Fianna Fáil leader says he has no intention of stepping down. Micheál Martin is the only one of the three coalition party leaders who entered government together in 2020 who will lead their party into the next general election. Last night, Micheál Martin appointed Jack Chambers as deputy leader of Fianna Fáil, a position which had been vacant for 4 years. Speaking afterwards to reporters, the Taoiseach said as the election looms, his focus remains on meeting the challenges facing the country.
I'm leading party into the next general election, and what this is evidence of the fact that I'm very focused in terms of how we reorganise ourselves and how we can put in first-class performance. Not for ourselves alone, but we believe in terms of the big challenges facing this country, in terms of housing, in terms of health, we're up for those challenges.
Visitors are being urged to plan their journeys ahead of the Foyle Maritime Festival in Derry. Tens of thousands of people are expected to flock to the event next week. Donal Kavanagh has this report.
There'll be road closures in place from Harbour Square to Queen's Quay roundabout from Monday, June 24th until Tuesday, July 2nd, particularly at night time, with the possibility of further restrictions as required. On-street parking restrictions will be in place throughout the festival. Free parking will be available at Fort George, with people encouraged to use that facility and not the nearby Sainsbury's car park. City centre car parks will be open, as will the Magee College car park on Rock Road, with the council advising that the Strand Road car park will be set aside for dedicated accessible parking only. To help avoid delays and reduce congestion, visitors are being asked to consider using public transport where possible. More information about traffic and travel restrictions, as well as detailed information for residents and businesses who may be affected, can be found on our website, highlandradio.com.
Now looking to weather, it will be mostly cloudy today with isolated light patches of rain and drizzle at times, but overall a fair amount of dry weather. Highest temperatures of 16 to 18 degrees and a light, occasionally moderate southwest wind, but turning fresher near coasts later. That's all for now. We'll be back with more at 11 o'clock.
The obituary notices for this Thursday morning, the 20th of June. The death has taken place of Hubert Harper, 24, Hampstead Park, Derry. Funeral from his home this morning at 11:30 for Requiem Mass at 12 noon in Our Lady of Lourdes Church, Steelstown. Interment afterwards in the city cemetery. The death has taken place of Michael Hunter, 5, Miller's Close, Claudy. Michael's remains will repose at his home from 12 noon until 10 p.m. this evening. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10:25 for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Claudy. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to Air Ambulance NI. The death has occurred of Damien McDade, 12, Coshowan, St Johnson, formerly of Main Street, Newton Cunningham. Reposing at his home with rosary each evening at 9. Family time please from 10 p.m. to 11 a.m. Funeral cortege will leave at 10:30 on Saturday morning, going to St Bathan's Church, St Johnson for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Kelly's funeral directors. The death has taken place of Rosaline Ward, née Boyle, Mandalay, Dailysford Road, Salt Hill, Galway, formerly of Market Square, Letterkenny. Reposing at her home from 4 o'clock until 7 o'clock this evening. Removal tomorrow morning to St Joseph's Church, Presentation Road, for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock. Cremation service in Shannon Crematorium on Saturday at 12 noon. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live on MCN Media. Family flowers only by request. Donations, if desired, to the Irish Motor Neuron Disease Association or the Galway Hospice. The death has taken place of Geraldine Nealis, Lossett, Churchill. Geraldine's remains are reposing at her late residence. Funeral from there tomorrow morning for Requiem Mass in St Columkille's Church, Glendone at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in Garton Cemetery. Family time please from 10 p.m. to 11 a.m. The funeral mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Charlie McLafferty, funeral director. The death has taken place of John Joseph Mitchell, Glencar, Letterkenny, formerly of Shaw, Greater Manchester, England, originally of Irishtown, County Mayo. Funeral this morning with Requiem Mass in St Columkille's Church, Glendone at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in Temple Douglas Cemetery. The funeral mass can be viewed on the Parish Facebook page. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Charlie McLafferty, funeral director. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Calling all bread enthusiasts, get ready to knead, bake and rise to the challenge with the launch of Rise with Aldi's new bread baking competition. This year's winner will pocket €15,000 and get to sell their prize loaf in Aldi stores for a whole year. Visit aldi.ie/risewithaldi for details on drop-off points at selected Aldi stores. Not trying to butter you up, but we know you can do it. Go all Aldi. T's and C's apply. Visit aldi.ie/rise with Aldi for details.
Okie doke, welcome back to the programme. Good morning. If you tune in at 10, where have you been? You missed an interesting first hour. But anyway, let's get to some of your comments coming in so far this morning. Every day you read about the weather. Met Éireann, ahead one day it's great and the next your hopes are dashed, especially along the west. So things not looking great in the first week of July. No heat wave anyway, but we are going to get significant increase in temperatures. Have you any good news about the weather this summer? Is not coming at all. Raining here, so disappointing this time of the year. As I say, Saturday, Sunday are going to be warmer at least. Look, we're not. It's not beach weather. Hi Greg, Barrister Una McGurk has made an application to the High Court asking for court orders to pause the Dáil from voting on the EU Migration Pact until a referendum takes place. Mr Justice David Nolan says this is why the Dáil vote was deferred. I don't believe that's why it was deferred, but we'll see how she gets on with her actions. We were talking about the minimum wage, and you know that sliding scale, under 17, 18, 19, before you then hit into the full minimum wage. A caller says the minimum wage is not the problem. It's the employers who need to be honest with the people they're hiring. Pay what they are worth. By doing this, they'll find the people who are worth paying more than the minimum wage. But younger does not mean less experience. So if they start on base wage and work your way up, it's worth it. That comes in from Johnny. Good morning, Greg. 18-year-olds should be getting the same wage. Lots of these 18-year-olds were probably working weekends, lifting glasses, etc., and were given $3.50 a week. We heard no complaints then. Just wondering, has the COVID tax ever been started to be paid back yet? Well, are you on about the payments? Because I got a very interesting note from Revenue as it relates to pandemic payments. I'm glanced over it. I don't want to look too deep into it, if I'm completely honest with you. A caller says, how much of this violence is mutual? How much of it is false reporting? Well, you see, the problem is there's two things there in that first sentence, and I'm not sure it really helps or progresses the situation. Firstly, it's that it kind of comes across, I'm not saying what you're saying, it kind of comes across as saying maybe the woman was asking for it. And secondly, it's not believing someone who's actually making that accusation. Do people make false accusations? I'm sure they do. Does that account for 40,000 calls to Women's Aid? No, it doesn't. But listen, it's your point of view, and I'll read on here. These calls are surely not all true, or are they? The more money pumped into Women's Aid, the more they will seek victims to prove their worth, sadly. There should be zero tolerance of all abuse, including parental alienation, coercive control, and other forms of abuse, no matter the gender. I don't think in any case... I think victims should believe personally, and I don't think in any case, in some way, if a woman is being beaten, stabbed, raped in her own home, and makes the call to seek help, to start talking about whether it's mutual or are they lying, I don't really think that helps us as a society move forward. Women's Aid, you can have your question marks over them, that's fine. It's up to you. Dr. Marie Hainsworth is someone I know and interview regularly, and if she says to me that there's more violence, that the rate is increasing in Donegal, then I'm going to listen to what Dr. Marie Hainsworth said. I would like to ask, does the Green Party think that when Eamon Ryan steps down that this is going to help with the public? Also the same with Fine Gael. We the people know these parties have destroyed Ireland along with Fianna Fáil. Do you really, if that's what you believe? Because the local elections wouldn't suggest so. Micheál Martin and Simon Harris are cock a hoop. Everyone says they're going to be wiped out at the local elections. Yes, they lost seats, but they're two of the biggest parties. Their actual percentage of the vote didn't change much at all. They did lose a few seats. Sinn Féin was supposed to come in and sweep the board. They made gains, but certainly didn't make the gains that people were expecting. And Eamon Ryan going and someone else coming in, unfortunately, the public will go, well, not unfortunately. I mean, the reality is the public will go, oh, okay, Pippa's a nice woman. She seems to get us. We'll vote Green. That's the way it works. People go in cycles, It didn't take much for the government to do in terms of some of the language around, say, for instance, migration and what have you, for people to go, all right, might as well stick with these guys. That's what happened in the local elections, I think. But anyway, the caller believes the parties will go down in history for what they've done to this country. People have very short memories, and there's very clear examples of that even locally, on some of the biggest issues we've ever faced, that memories can be quite short. Morning, noon and night this week, 7 a.m. this morning, rally cars are blocking the R254 in Glenveigh National Park to race and rally cars. The rally organisers say ring the guards, as if the guards had nothing better to do. There are rare birds nesting here now, and these rally drivers, many of whom may well be participating in the Donegal rally, I don't know. They obviously care nothing for wildlife or the fact that the road goes through the national park. Locals and tourists have to sit waiting for the cars to move as they block the road to traffic. Tourists going to the bridle path in Glenveigh don't know what's happening when they find the road blocked. It's no wonder there are so many collisions in Donegal when this behaviour is tolerated. Any more on that, let me know. Hi, Sinn Féin and others need to get their act together, says a listener. Less talk, more action. They really have done nothing, only shouting in the door. Look at yourselves with the loss of seats. Thank you. Well, in fairness to Sinn Féin, they're an opposition party, and primarily their role is to raise issues in the Dáil with a view to garnering the public support to eventually be in government and follow through in those decisions or not. So really, in opposition, your hands can be tied somewhat as well. Hi, Greg. The Complaints Department office in LUH is essentially the size of a broom cupboard. It doesn't fit 3 people seated in it. Go and see for yourself. It's a joke. And last, just before the bingo numbers, because it is jackpot day, if there's a reshuffle for cabinet, I think that we need a new agriculture minister. It's a pity that Sinn Féin are not in government, as Pierce Doherty is a great speaker and advocate. Charlie McConalogue and the other ministers took too long to do anything about the horse scandal and the cruelty. It's too late now, they say. Right, now we are about to play bingo, and I just want to give you a reminder that this is Vision Ireland Bingo. Vision Ireland do fantastic work across Donegal and the country in supporting people who are visually impaired, or those, unfortunately, that happens very regularly, that are told that their eyesight is deteriorating, and they support them in many, many different ways. Majority of their fundraising is through fundraising. All right, the majority of the funds is through fundraising, and Vision Ireland Bingo goes a long way to supporting the work that they do here in County Donegal. The bingo here, it's not a club. You don't have to be in it from the start. You can go into your local shop or retailer. You'll see the books there, hopefully, or ask about them, and you can start playing straight away. It's €1 a day to play, and there's hundreds of euro every day won, and then there is the big jackpot, and that money rolls over, and the prizes are really, really good. But the point being is that it supports Vision Ireland. That's what the critical element of all of this waffle is from me. And you can start playing anytime you like. You don't have to, as I say, be a member or a club, or no one's going to take your table when you turn up for bingo, if you know what I mean, with the radio bingo. So here are the numbers.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday, the 20th of June, Jackpot Day. You're playing for the jackpot prize of €12,000 on the pink sheet. The reference number is S4. It's game number 25. The jackpot number is number 2. This number can come out in any position from the next 10 numbers drawn. And now, here are your daily numbers. 31, 4, 53, 87, 41, 76, 74, 9, 54, and finally 69. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
On Business Matters this week, I'll be speaking with Buncrana's Stephen Harvey about his new Savvy Spender app, which can save you money on your weekly shopping. I'll also be speaking to Philip McGlade, the CEO of Therapy Clinic, which is opening a new €1 million medical aesthetics clinic in Letterkenny next month. So join me, Chris Ashmore, for Business Matters after the 6 o'clock news on Sunday.
Business Matters on Highland Radio is brought to you by Local Enterprise Office Donegal. If you have an idea to start or grow your business within Donegal, contact the Local Enterprise Office team to find out more about the supports available for businesses. See localenterprise.ie/Donegal.
Looking for that Hoka experience? Try the new range at bmcsports.ie. New Arahi 7, Clifton 9 or the Eversoft Bondi 8. Step into our safe size experience so you can fit the best trainer for your foot. Let us make your trainer experience the best it can be. Brian McCormick Sports, Main Street, Letterkenny.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Now, as part of this week's Your Voice, Your Community, in association with Commission Naman, funded by the TV licence fee, we speak to Balumi Dube, TED Project and DIP community worker with the Donegal Intercultural Platform about connecting for life. Balumi's with us. Great to see you again. How are you keeping?
I'm good, Greg, and you?
Very good. You talked of a summer. I think that was yesterday.
Yes.
If you have any influence, please. We want the weather. Right. Okay. So connecting for life is what, Balumi?
Well, Connecting Life has been supporting us greatly at Donegal Intercultural Platform in terms of bringing awareness to people in terms of mental health work. But they've also been working with Donegal Youth Services as well. But as part of an event that we have today to mark both Refugee Week, which runs from the 17th to the 23rd of June, and Men's Health Week, which runs from the 10th to the 16th of June, Donegal Intercultural Platform, supported by Connecting for Life, are delighted to launch 4 video films promoting positive mental health messages for men that are available in 4 languages. That's English, Arabic, French, and Ukrainian. Yes.
Obviously, look, we're all very conscious of mental health and the rate of suicide, and it's across all communities, across the community. There are supports, there's messaging, sometimes with language issues, or maybe if you have lived here for a few years, maybe you're still consuming media from your home country or what have you. Is it a particular issue, do you think, in getting the supports and advice in there to Ireland's new community members?
Yes, I think it's Connecting Life has played a crucial role in terms of that. We've been aware that language is a barrier in terms of accessing mental health services. And like you rightly said, everyone of us has been touched by suicide in a certain fashion. We've lost a colleague, a friend, somebody very close to us. And this is an attempt to actually to reach out to particularly the BME community who experience those kind of barriers in terms of language, and perhaps who are not aware of the services that actually are there, that are available for them. Yes.
Okay, let's have a quick listen to one of the videos that we've mentioned to give you an idea of what we're talking about.
Donegal Intercultural Platform is reaching out to men from migrant communities, saying, "You are not alone. Your health matters.
You deserve happiness, good emotional and physical health in your life, and there are people in the community always willing to help you.
It's okay to feel low, but don't stay silent. Reach out to friends. Let people know how you feel."
Speaking out doesn't mean you are weak. You need to unlearn things in order for you to learn new things.
And always remember that no one is the custodian of strength, be it mental or physical. We all need someone to lean on.
Remember, eat well, get good exercise. A good physical health means a good mental health.
If you are feeling unwell, talk to your friends, talk to your GP, talk to us. We are here for you.
For more information, contact the Donegal Intercultural Platform.
This short video is supported by Connecting for Life, HSC.
And I think, when there are support numbers and what have you, but I think really often the conversation can be about what makes people different. But in reality, it when you boil down to it, we are all the same.
Oh, yes.
Because every single one of those gentlemen from wherever they're from are all facing the same challenges. Obviously, in certain cases, it's even worse, right? But fundamentally, right, it's about speaking to each other, reaching out, having that conversation, and we're all the same in that regard.
That's true. That's true. I think, and also particularly with men, we experience sort of the same kind of barriers. We often keep things, inside. We don't talk about it. So, but we're trying to encourage this culture of sharing, or of ensuring that whatever you're going through, because all of us go through that. Like you rightly said, it doesn't matter how different our cultural backgrounds are. When it comes to mental health, we sort of encounter the same kind of barriers. So, and we need to develop a culture of, speaking out, a culture of finding services so that we can be able to, deal with mental health issues much better.
And I think, I'm not sure if it's new terminology, but it kind of landed with me a little bit different in there, where it wasn't actually referencing almost specifically mental health. It was, if you feel unwell, reach out. And I think that's far... I think we distinguish too much between physical and mental health. And this is just a broader point Baloo made, you know what I mean? And in the video, and if you're watching it, if you get a chance to see it, when they sort of, if you're feeling unwell, obviously, you know, at that point it's visualized by someone in a state of distress mentally, right?
Oh, yes.
So I like that phraseology, to be honest with you, rather than making the constant firm distinction between mental and physical health.
Oh, yes, because it's very connected as well, you know. It's very connected. Your mental health affects your physical health. Your physical health also affects your mental health. And precisely the people that we sort of have to contact to sort that out is usually the healthcare system. So it's precisely knowing where to go, who to talk to, you know, and knowing that there's no shame in actually talking about that, and knowing that there's strength and courage in actually sharing your stories, you know, with other people with regards to mental health. Yes.
In talking about priority groups, you know, we all face trials and tribulations and struggles in life, but I presume a proportion of those, a significant proportion of those that are fleeing here for refuge,
yes,
be they men or women, but men for the purpose of this question, are coming from very traumatic situations. So they're carrying that trauma baggage with them here.
Oh, yes. So I suppose because we have sort of structured this and targeted the BME community, and in a certain way, again, a certain percentage of those people will be people seeking asylum or who are refugees themselves, who have experienced some form of trauma where they come from, whether it's political, whether it's violence, and so on. But it's also the trauma of where they live currently, because they find that they are in tight spaces. You know, they are not allowed certain freedoms or certain liberties. And we think that it's a mental health issue that they need to be able to reach out, not only just to express themselves about the trauma that they've experienced where they come from, but also about the trauma that they're also experiencing right now.
And in terms of having our movements restricted, we all got an insight into that during COVID, didn't we? So
yes,
you know what I mean. And we can probably it is relatable because we know the impact that had on so many people.
Oh, definitely.
So what other work is being done then? So I mean, because obviously we want people to reach out for support, but the supports also have to be there.
Yes.
Because we don't know. The one thing concerns me is that sometimes people maybe have one telephone call in them or one reach out in them, you know, and that call has to be answered.
Oh, yes.
I think.
Yes.
And those supports need to be there. And I just hope that the more people we get to come forward and talk about their mental health or to seek help, but that the services are actually there for them.
Oh, yes. So we are in partnership with HUG, with GROW, with the Samaritans, with the HSC Mental Health and that. So we are actually making sure that, you know, people are aware of the different services that are available to them in terms of mental health. But also with regards to that, our event marks, you know, the production of or showcasing this video. But it's been a process that we have gone through. So that means we have constant conversations with men that are living in direct provision or that come from the BME community or any other men that actually experience mental health. So while we are actually showcasing this video, it actually shows that we have gone through a process of actually engaging with the men and actually identifying, you know, common issues that they sort of encounter. But also, it's a continuous process that we are having, and this relationship with Connecting for Life is one that is long term. So we will continuously engage with men, have conversations with them, conversations for change, and conversations that can lead them towards the right services. So we while it's an event, a one-day event, but it actually reflects a longer process that we're having, because we don't think it's just enough to say these are the numbers and that, but we believe that we should encourage this culture of, you know, being together, of sharing stories.
Yeah. That's all men, all women. It's
yes.
Kind of there's a crossover here, obviously, because it is Men's Mental Health Week. It's all men, regardless of the background. But today is also Refugee Awareness Day. And I just wanted to focus on maybe the additional layer of difficulty there might be on refugees or people that have only been here for a number of years in accessing the services as well. So it's kind of we're getting two birds with one stone.
Very much.
There's an event on in the Century Cinema. What's that about?
So today we're at the Century Cinema between 2 and 4. We're going to be showcasing the 4 videos, but it's not just the 4 videos from the men that we've been working with, but we're also going to be showcasing, music or songs that have been written by young people that have been working with Donegal Youth Services and Connecting for Life. So we're going to be showcasing the videos that showcase reflect the process that we've been going through, engaging people that living in direct provision, explaining the difficulties and the barriers that they actually encounter. It's between 2 and 4 at the cinema. There are going to be many service providers as well that work with mental health. So we hope that this can be a sort of a reflection of the kind of barriers people encounter, but also a reflection of hope, for people to say, look, there's actually help out there. It's not, you're not isolated. We know of the conditions in direct provision, but it's also an opportunity for people to actually be able to see life through the window, the angle of a person who's a refugee themselves. Sometimes who are victims of harassment or being targeted or, being ridiculed in one way or another. That all adds to the mental health issues that they actually encounter.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Okay, and can you just roll up to that between 2 and 4 today?
Between 2 and 4 at the cinema. You can roll up. You don't need an invitation. If you want, you can just come in.
Anything else you want to mention, Balume, just before we wrap things up?
Yeah, I think mental health issues are, universal. So while obviously our target is the PME community, but we realize that mental health is an issue that affects everybody. And I think the more people jump into the ship and try to help each other out, I think the better.
Yeah, we lose far too many people to suicide. It's and you feel these are preventable losses, but there's very few families or individuals listening to us today that have not experienced this and the devastation of it. So anything we can do to try and reduce it, we must. Balume Dube, TED Project and DIP community worker, thanks for your time.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for
the
inviting
Donegal
us. Thank you so much.
Platform, of course. Back with more very shortly.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
We move Ireland's energy through one of Europe's most modern gas networks, delivering the energy you need today throughout the country. And now we're moving Ireland's energy in a new way, bringing more sustainable sources into the pipeline. Gas Networks Ireland, moving Ireland's energy.
McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware, with stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre or online at ormccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice whatever the occasion. McCullough Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
Allegations of black market fertilizer sales. For more in your Irish Farmers Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
Merchants claim farmers are sidestepping the new Department Fertilizer Register. Fears of further payment delays for 20,000 acres farmers. Government accused of overlooking small woodland owners. 1 in 5 suckler farmers plan to reduce stock numbers. Concerns over total ban on horse slaughter. Elderly farmer denied grant over cash payment. And UK demand for Irish beef expected to increase.
All inside the Irish Farmers Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
For all your rally essentials, pull into Kelly Centra and Diner in Letterkenny. Donegal International Rally programmes, frank and honest coffee, great food choices from the deli, or sit in and choose from the packed diner menu. Also great value in the off-licence with beer and wine specials. This rally weekend, pull into Kelly Centra and award-winning diner at Mountain Top, Letterkenny. Drink alcohol responsibly. Visit drinkaware.ie.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for a no obligation quotation on 91 32033.
A texter says, house insurance prices. 2 years ago, we paid €350 for house and contents. Last year, it rose by €100 to 470, no change in the details. This year, it's risen to €790 with no change to details or no claims made. Well, I would hope you would have increased the rebuild cost over those 3 years. But I'm not giving out or questioning you, but please, if you're getting house insurance, if your house is worth €140,000, if you were to sell it today, don't insure it for €140,000 because what you are doing is you are insuring it to rebuild that house, and it would be much higher than that. But anyway, this year their house insurance has gone up to $719. Shopped around and premiums are similar across all providers. How can they raise prices so much? Is there any known reason for such price hikes? Now, as I say, rebuild costs have gone up, but have they gone up that much over the last 2 years? What's your experience of home insurance? $350 to $790 is a massive, massive jump. As I say, obviously there are going to be some changes because the rebuild cost is going to increase, but surely not by that much. You know, we're paying for it, and what's it for, really? You ask defective block homeowners what their house insurance was for. Right, okay. There is a stretch of road, of the Lifford Road, that is notorious. It's becoming notorious. It's from the Manor roundabout to Lifford. It's high speed, high volumes of traffic, and unfortunately we're seeing high level of road traffic collisions or road incidences. Councillor Donald Coyle's with me now. Hi, Donald, how are you getting on?
Good morning, Greg, and good morning to your listeners, and thanks for having me on.
The problem with this road is that, well, firstly, I don't like it too much. I think it's really quite dangerous, but it would be replaced as part of the 10T. So are they going to spend anything between now and then to improve the safety of it, I wonder, Donald?
Well, I think immediate action has to be taken on the stretch of road from the sign at Mornings there at Mondui to the crossroads at Galdina, because of the number of serious incidents that has occurred on this road over the last while. This is something that I have highlighted on numerous occasions by submitting motions to the council, asking the council to contact TII, because this is a TII road. It's the main artery from Letterkenny to Dublin, and the volume of traffic that's using it is huge. And there have been a number of serious incidents that has happened on this stretch of road over the last number of weeks even. A lorry went off the road about 2 weeks ago, and there earlier this week, a lorry knife-jacked, and look, the actual road itself is in a very serious bad condition. It's cracking up. The road needs to be widened in a number of places, and a barrier needs to be erected.
Is there concerns too about the actual integrity of the road? The strength of the road.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's obviously, you can see the cracks on it, and all that has been done on it over the last while is just the road has been patched here and there. But look at for the volume of traffic and for it to be such an important artery, the road needs to be strengthened, it needs to be widened, and it does need a barrier erected along it as well.
And you're of the view that we can't wait for the 10T project?
Well, look, the 10T project, as you're aware, we're hoping that there will be an announcement regarding the 10T project from the government before the summer recess. Even with that, Greg, as you know yourself, it would have to go through the CPOs and the planning stage. And look, you're talking about a number of years down the road before the 10T would be complete. So look, in the meantime, do we just leave the road as it is and have more accidents on it? I don't think so. I think the TII have to act now and act urgently.
There's at the moment there's an audit ongoing of speed limits. We kind of forget sometimes, but Jack Chambers he triggered this. So there's an audit of speed limits going on at the moment, which will allow speed limits to be varied. Do you believe that Manor to Lifford the whole way now should be 80 kilometres per hour, following on from that audit?
Without a doubt, Dave, because look, it is, for anybody that's using this road, they know themselves, it is a road that's not fit for 100 kilometres per hour, as simple as that. Because back that road there at Carrickballydewey, there have been 3 fatal accidents just back the road there. Now I'm not saying it may be all to do with speed, but look, this road is only, in my estimation, an 80-kilometre road, and that is something that should be expedited. And the road from Manor to Lifford should be reduced to 80 kilometres.
Okay, we'll see what the public think. Thank you very much indeed. That's Councillor Donal Coyle. Do you agree? 086 60 25,000. Now, Rory Gallagher's launched a revamped version of his legendary GE anthem, Jimmy's Winning Matches, to mark his home county's extraordinary success this year. Now, we have a break this weekend. There's still some cracking matches on. I don't know if it's my interest or maybe the quality of football's increasing or we're seeing better pairings more regularly. But, I saw 3 great matches last weekend. Looking forward to more this weekend as we take a break. Also, too, by the way, we're miles away from Croke Park, and we still don't really know what day Donegal might be playing in the quarterfinals. I'm presuming and correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm sure there's people involved in the association listening that can correct me if I'm wrong. But are we playing Saturday or Sunday? Is it 2 quarterfinal double headers? I know people are out there surely saying, right, well, it's too long of a journey with the kids or whatever. If I get tickets, I'd like to stay over. But is it going to be Monday before we find out whether we're playing on the following Saturday or Sunday? Now, of course, accommodation in Dublin is going to be difficult to find at this stage. But at the same time, people might want to book somewhere an hour out or whatever it might be. We'd need a little bit further notice. Also, too, the teams we can and can't play is very confusing. Apparently, we can't play teams we've already played, and certainly not in the provincial championship. But there's so many Ulster teams there. I don't know how that's going to be worked out. Again, I don't find that information really very clear. But anyway, let's take a break from worrying about that, because I'm going to play the new version of Jimmy's Winning Matches, because we want to support it here on the 9 till noon show. You can download it we'll link actually the download on our Facebook. It's the easiest thing to do, Highland Hub. But we're going to play it. This is the new version of Jimmy's Winning Matches, and the reason we're so keen to support it is that it is to raise funds for the Donegal Hospice. And we all know the importance of that. So let's hear this new version. Is it any good? Is it as good as the old one?
Here comes some Glenties, man. He's been in Celtic, man. He's been in Charlotte and he's even been in China, man. We've beaten Derry, man, or maybe Kerry, man. We're beating anyone we meeting in the final, man. His destiny's not just written in the sand. Still got a plan. He's no lucky man. Oh, Jimmy's winning matches. Jimmy's winning games. Jimmy's bringing sound back to Donegal again. Oh, Jimmy's winning matches. Jimmy's winning games. Jimmy's bringing sound back to Donegal again. He's not from Senegal, he comes from Donegal. And if you want a mighty player, Jimmy got them all. He got Gavin, man, he got Patton, man. He got McHugh, he got McBready, he got Owen, man. We'll crack a smile, cause we've seen it all before. From Childcare to Muff, from Letterkenny to Gidor. Oh, Jimmy's winning matches. Jimmy's winning games. Jimmy's bringing Sammy back to Donegal again. Oh, Jimmy's winning matches. Jimmy's winning games. Jimmy's bringing Sammy back to Donegal again. Boom, 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 Donegal sing away, oh. Boom, 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 Donegal sing away, oh. His destiny's not just written in the sand. So this one's for Jim, he's a mighty modest man. Oh, the team are winning matches, the team are winning games, the team are bringing sound back to Donegal again. Yeah, the team are winning matches, the team are winning games, the team are bringing sound back to Donegal again. Oh, and Jimmy's winning matches, Jimmy's winning games, Jimmy's bringing sound back to Donegal again, bringing sound back to Donegal again, bringing sound back to Donegal again.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Every day's an exciting adventure with the National Trust. Spend summer exploring magnificent mansions, glorious gardens, tree-lined trails and riverside rambles. Hop into the wildlife heptathlon at Mount Stewart or walk the plank by the River Blackwater at the Argery. Pick up pond dipping kits at Florence Court. Take aim at archery at Castle Ward or try lazy lawn games at Rowan Garden. With lots of
"Can we come again?"
on the way home. Search National Trust NI to find out more. National Trust, for everyone, forever.
Cool it this summer with the Curry's range of fridge freezers. Get the higher fridge freezer for only €849, save €130. Or save €50 on the LG 6040 fridge freezer for only €559. And don't forget, our experts will deliver and install your new appliance for half price. Shop in-store or online at currys.ie.
It's time to transform your smile with the help of Blue Poppy Dental, Letterkenny and Donegal Town. Their expert team offer orthodontics, teeth whitening, implants and composite bonding, all in-house. Start your journey by calling 074 97 40404 or easily book your appointment online at a time that suits you through their user-friendly patient portal at bluepoppydental.com. Blue Poppy Dental and Orthodontics, Letterkenny and Donegal Town. Proud supporter of the Donegal LGFA football camps.
Skoda's 2 brand new models are going fast. This is Donegal, driving off in his new HVO-powered superb Combi. And the Breen family, getting their plug-in hybrid Kodiaq. And this is the sound of someone who didn't get their order in on time. Order your new Skoda today, before it's too late. Skoda. Let's explore.
Skoda. Your local Skoda dealer is DMG Motors, Clar Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 9721 396.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhinney's. With over 50 years of serving the community in Donegal, McElhinney's is proud to be part of every moment, big and small. Support local, shop McElhinney's Ballybuffet.
Mostly cloudy today with isolated light patches of rain and drizzle at times, but overall a fair amount of dry weather, temperatures 16 to 18 degrees. Now I'm joined on the programme by Paul McCormick, who's a former captain with the New York Police Department and originally from Ballybuffet. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning. How are you doing? How's things?
Doing fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you keeping?
I'm doing fantastic. No complaints at all. Life is good. Just a Donegal victory next week in the quarter-final would just really add the cherry on top of the cake here.
Okay, brilliant stuff. You never forget your Donegal roots, of course. You took part in the British Blind and Disabled Golf Open Championship in Masserine Golf Club, and you're able to take part in that because of the work you did at the World Trade Center back in 2001. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Paul?
Yeah, it's the British Open this year is for blind and all disabilities as well. And, I'm legally blind. I got my eyes damaged while working at Ground Zero. And I said, I play blind and visually impaired golf and disabled golf now. It's a great outlet. Anybody listening who has children that are blind, visually impaired or disabled, I would encourage them to look up, because it's not just golf. There's a lot of other sports and activities for the blind and disabled. That is wonderful to get people out of the house and help get your mind right, because it can be a lonely and depressing place being visually impaired or blind. But when you have the ability to get out there and and socialize, play sports, be active. It's great. It's fantastic.
And did you have to leave the police department because?
Yeah, I had to leave. I was, my eyes deteriorated over a 7-8 year period, and when you can't drive and you can't shoot, not much of a use as a police officer in New York. So it forced me to retire in 2010. So,
but I suppose through that work though, Paul, obviously you work with your colleagues, mixing with people all the time. There's a social element of it that you can lean on other people. That's a big loss too when you have to leave the organisation. And is that why sort of being able to get out and socialise and get involved in something new was so important for you, I wonder?
Absolutely. I mean, having a disability like this, the loss of independence is the worst thing, to be honest with you. Not being able to get in your car and take off for a drive, and you need help with a lot of things. You rely on a lot of other people to help you, and it can be a little discouraging and sometimes embarrassing. I try and mask my vision impairment, and sometimes people will be waving at me from 20 feet away. I can't see them. They think I'm ignoring them and being a bit of a jerk, but it's not. I just can't see them. And I tell people, listen, just shout my name because I can't see you. And they're like, oh God, I didn't know that. But it's, listen, I'm not complaining. Life is good. God is good. And as I said, there's a lot of people suffering since 9/11. There's a lot of people are dying from cancers and respiratory diseases and other stuff that they contracted while working at Ground Zero. And I'm fortunate to be able to do what I do. I said I got a lovely family, and I have no complaints.
And it is interesting, Paul, and I think just worth pausing on that point for a moment. In that, of course, we all, and just because of the nature of media now, wherever we were in the world, we were able to observe the awful events of that day and the aftermath. And then a few years passed, and then a monument is put in place, and people move on, but so many of your colleagues and yourself, in fact, carry the scars and the medical conditions of that fateful day, and shouldn't be forgotten either.
Yeah, there's 70,000 people. It's not just the first responders and the rescue workers that were there. There was the residents that were in the area were breathing in all of the toxins. What happened is a lot of the computer components and the mercury and all got pulverized and sent out into the atmosphere. And we had no protective gear. And if you breathed in the wrong gulp of air at the wrong time, you like a lot of people have developed serious cancers. A lot of people have died, and it's rough. But the Mount Sinai Medical Center in New York had the 9/11 monitoring program. I go there once a year, as I said, there's 70,000 people in the program. We get monitored every year, and just hopefully, I don't, knocking on wood as I'm talking to you here, just don't develop anything too serious.
When did you leave Ballybofey and why, Paul, before we talk about the golf?
I left Ballybofey in 1986, just after doing my Leaving Cert at Stranraer Vocational School. And I left, it was the Charlie Haughey tighten your belt strap era. Right. There was a whole generation that were lost. I mean, most of the people that I grew up with had to emigrate or go on the dole. There was nothing there for us in Ireland at the time. It was probably 4 or 5 years just before the Celtic Tiger kicked in. But I had the good fortune of having an American passport. I was born in America, and I was able to emigrate to the States. And in 1980, I was just 18 when I left.
Right, and unfortunately, we're going through a cycle of our losing our best and brightest once again. So this is the 33rd year of the competition, the British Blind and Disabled Golf Open Championship. So talk to us about the event.
Yeah, it's one of the oldest events. Like there's the big events, the British Open, the US Open, and it's a great event for the blind, visually impaired, and now the disabled to come up and just express themselves, play sport, to have that competitive edge. Like I don't like to be treated any differently than anybody else. I'm a member at the Jameson Links up in Portmarnock in Dublin, and I don't get treated any different by the club members there, and I wouldn't have it any other way. We go out, we play our golf. I have to play with a guide. I have somebody that has to be able to line me up, keep an eye on my ball for me, tell me where my ball went, read the putts for me, tell me the line of the putts, etc. But aside from that, it's we're just as competitive and as crazy about golf as everybody else is. And,
yeah, a lot of. I think I read a quote. From you where you refer to fellow competitors as an inspiration to you, and that you admire these guys more than anyone else. It doesn't mean you don't want to kick their ass, though.
100%. Like I talk about it. I have a very close friend from Spain, Alejandro de Miguel. He's fully blind. He's completely blind, and he's got like a 28 handicap. And the guy he's hitting balls 250 yards down the middle. He's the current world champion for fully blind golfers, and he won his category in Mazarine for the fully blind. And just when you see these guys, it's just unbelievable inspiration, and it's again very, as you said, we still want to kick their ass, and but it's exciting stuff.
And how did you get on? You were in there's B1, B2, B3, isn't that right? Which category were you in, and how did you get on?
Well, I played in the overall category. There's B1, B2, B3, but I was the overall men's champion of the event, and I'm delighted. This is my third time winning it. I'm a 3-time champion now. Draw inspiration from, as I said, I look at the Jim McGuinness and the Donegal team this year. The way they've turned things around is for Donegal Nation worldwide. What they have done to raise the spirits of every Donegal person on this planet is tremendous. And you draw inspiration from that. It makes you feel good, and I said, from that sporting event, like I admire him. He's tremendous. Jim McGuinness is unbelievable. And,
what do you play off, Paul, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm playing off 16 right now.
Is there another sport that levels the playing field like golf? I wonder.
I don't think so.
You could have you and your Spanish mate and Rory McIlroy playing. It is. I don't think there's another sport that could do that.
No, there isn't. The handicap is the great equalizer worldwide, and that's what makes golf so good. Like, as I said, you can go out against anybody, but your golf handicap is your golf handicap. Whereas the world handicap system, it's the same in every country, and it is the great equalizer. Like, I played in the Irish Disabled Open in Roganstown 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I couldn't hit snow off a rope 2 weeks ago. Really, I was useless, and the weather wasn't great. It was lashing, and it was a lovely course. But it was but then it's just golf's funny. Like, 2 weeks later, I couldn't miss, and but it's a great sport. You can play really, really horribly, but you get that one really good shot. It just keeps bringing you back. Golf's but it's great to clear your head. It's great to get out there and be able to do it, and it's a sport that's very inclusive worldwide. It's something that the disabled are welcomed in sport. And I said, with golf, with the R&A and the USGA right now, they have become very inclusive. And like, I'm going to Kansas City in about a month to play in the USGA Adaptive Open. I qualified for that event, and I'm delighted to be going there. That's a huge event for the blind and disabled worldwide.
And Paul, do you know, we talked about how great a leveler golf is, and it's like the heartbreak for McIlroy at the weekend, missing 2 3-footers, less than 3-footers. This is, the best player in the world, one of the best players in the world, and everyone can get the jitters. I mean, it did really come down to those.
McIlroy, like Rory's, he's an inspirational player, and he dogs it out every tournament. And I felt so bad for him. I mean, anybody that plays golf, that sometimes those 3-footers, those nasty little 3-foot sliders, they can go in sometimes, but sometimes you lip out on them, and it happens. And it happened at the worst time for him. The worst time. I thought he had it. I thought he had the tournament won, but he was so unfortunate. And I hope he doesn't stay away too long.
No, he won't. He won't.
He's an inspiration for a lot of people.
Exactly. And I just want to say, Paul, you've spoke a couple of times of the inspiration Jim McGuinness and the Donegal players are. But in your sport and field and what you've achieved and what you are achieving, I'm sure you're an inspiration to them as well. And it's been wonderful speaking to you, and good luck in the upcoming tournament, and congratulations on your win during the week. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much. Up Donegal. Go Jim and the boys, okay?
All right. Okay. That's Paul McCormick, a former captain with the New York Police Department, originally from Ballabafay. Let us know what you think.
The Buncrana Golf Club Development Draw is here, with over €40,000 in prizes up for grabs. The grand prize is a stunning Hyundai i30 N-Line, plus 4 other fantastic prizes worth over €10,000. Tickets are available online at driveathomedraw.ie or from any club member. Don't miss your chance to win big and support Buncrana Golf Club. Get your tickets today.
At Vodafone, we've just been awarded Ireland's best mobile network for the 9th year in a row. It's because we're committed 24/7 to making it the best network for you, so you can rely on Vodafone for the important things, like Sunday video calls with your best friend, staying in touch with the things that really matter in the family group text, or watching a 24/7 live stream of penguins at the San Diego Zoo. Go on, you want to. Vodafone. Together we can. Certified by Umlaut. See Vodafone.ie for terms.
Connect Hearing is open for free hearing tests. Our audiologist is available Monday to Friday for wax removal services at our Letterkenny Clinic in the Courtyard Shopping Centre. We also offer a home visit for those who aren't able to visit us. Our hearing is our social sense. Are you finding hearing more of a challenge? Call Ursula today on 07491 13296 to make an appointment. Good hearing helps us to connect to our family, friends and loved ones. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life.
Summer has arrived. It's time to book the ultimate rural escape at McGrory's Hotel Kildare, celebrating 100 years of warm Irish welcomes. Relax in the beautiful Donegal countryside, stay in one of our 17 cosy bedrooms, enjoy a fabulous meal in our front room, and take a walk on the stunning Blue Flag Beach. Book your break now at mcgrorys.ie, quoting Highland Radio.
They say time equals money, so spend your money where you spend your time. No matter what your preference is, Cooney's Home Interiors has something to suit every taste and budget. With our extensive range of home furnishing to fit every room and style, from mattresses and beds to rugs, mirrors and suites of furniture. Visit us in store today and see for yourself what Cooney's have to offer, and let us help you make your dream home a reality. Cooney's Home Interiors, Letterkenny Retail Park. Huge range, great prices.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today. With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to noon show on Highland Radio.
Yes, indeed. And coming up in the next hour, amongst other things, we're going to be previewing the Donegal International Rally, whereby we invite 3 guests into studio and I shut up and let Oisin Kelly do it. That's all coming up over the next wee while. But first, let's cross over to Katie and get a news update at 11. Hi, Katie.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The HSE says there are no plans to move the public health nurse from Fawn Health Centre, and that public health nurse services continue to be provided there. Earlier questions were raised about the future of Fawn Health Centre after local councillor Jack Murray said his understanding was the nurse was being relocated after patients were being referred to either Buncrana or Muff. A South Donegal TD has accused the government of using the EU Migration Pact to cover up its own failure to being inefficient and humane systems to deal with refugees and people seeking international protection. Deputy Marion Herkin was one of the last TDs to speak in the Dáil on the pact last night before the debate and vote was adjourned until next week. The Seanad has already voted in favour of the pact by 30 votes to 11. In her contribution, Deputy Herkin said the Dublin 3 regulation already clearly sets out how asylum applications are dealt with in Europe, and asked why the government isn't following it. Donegal Deputy Pierce Doherty is urging the government to find a solution to the imminent crisis facing Ardra Community Childcare. The centre serves over 100 children and 76 families in the area, but now hangs in limbo after positive tests for defective concrete. Deputy Doherty says with over 20 childcare premises affected in the county, a remediation scheme must be introduced as a matter of urgency. The Fianna Fáil leader says he has no intention of stepping down. Micheál Martin is the only one of 3 coalition party leaders who entered government together in 2020 who will lead their party into the next general election. Last night, Micheál Martin appointed Jack Chambers as deputy leader of Fianna Fáil, a position which has been vacant for 4 years. Speaking afterwards to reporters, the Taoiseach said as the election looms, his focus remains on meeting the challenges facing the country. And finally, visitors are being urged to plan their journeys ahead of the Foyle Maritime Festival in Derry. Tens of thousands of people are expected to flock to the event next week. More information about traffic and travel restrictions, as well as detailed information for residents and businesses who may be affected, can be found on our website highlandradio.com. That's all for now. We'll be back with more at 12 o'clock.
Thank you very much indeed. Back with more after this really short break on the programme.
The National Inpatient Experience Survey is underway. If you spent 24 hours or more in a public hospital during May this year, you may have received an invitation in the post asking you to take part in the survey. Sharing your experience will help us to improve hospital care for everyone. For more information, visit yourexperience.ie. Thank you from the HSE, HICWA and the Department of Health.
Greg, I'm driving on the Nacolla Coast Road and the road is black with tyre marks by people doing donuts before the rally on Saturday. If this event is going to continue, I would suggest that DCC should inspect the road before and after, and if any damage is done, the bill should be sent to the Donegal Motor Club. But the Donegal Motor Club aren't responsible for the actions of Aegis. It's no more so than if there's a bank holiday weekend and there's lots of aggro on the main street in Letterkenny or wherever it might be. You can't sort of blame whoever introduced that bank holiday. You organise event, you control that event, but what goes on around and outside that, the state really has to police and enforce. I would have thought. I can't see how that is. And I've no skin in the game, by the way. I really don't. I can't see how that you could lay the blame of that at the foot of the Donegal rally. Greg, I hear what you're saying about house insurance, but if I insure my house for more, it values my house more, which in turn increases my property tax. I know my house is worth more than €100,000, but I'm trying to keep costs down. It really is a catch. It is indeed. But, the bottom line is that, unfortunately, houses burn down. And it's a gamble because if, God forbid, something happened to your house, you'd be kicking yourself, wouldn't you? And also, is the property tax linked to what you insure your house for? Firstly, your property tax is what your house is worth, right? So you could probably make a strong argument it's 100k. But to rebuild that house, and don't forget, it's a rebuild of the house, not the value of the house. It's how much it costs to rebuild it. And if you've got contents, it's to build from the ground up, the roof, furniture, carpets, skirts, all that type of stuff. So I don't think that's the value of your house. So I think you can still insure your house at the correct value. But if you believe your house is worth no more than 100,000, I believe you can continue to, if you believe that to be the case, and it is the case, I wouldn't suggest anyone lie, then you should be okay. I don't know. I'm not suggesting anyone should do anything that is outside of the law. I'm not saying that. It's the rebuild versus the value. Caller says no primary road should be in such condition. This is Manor to Lifford. That a tractor can hold up an express bus, which has to keep to a rigorous timetable. It's these hold-ups which prevent passengers from using toilets and refreshments facilities at a designated stop. Mihal joins me now. Mihal, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
We're talking about the N14. Specifically, is it the section that was mentioned earlier, the Letterkenny / Manor to Lifford stretch?
Yeah, there's that dangerous stretch, yeah.
Yeah, what's your view?
Yeah, well, just to be clear first, the N14, it is part of the 10T route, but it's not what we think of when we say 10T. We're saying 10T route, we're thinking the core route throughout Europe, and that the big upgrades are supposed to happen to that, or to be done by 2030. The N14 is in a different route, part of the comprehensive 10T route, and the big upgrades expected to happen to that don't actually have to be completed until 2050.
Which is some way out. What is your view, though, on why, for instance, roads like this seemingly are neglected?
Well, they seemingly are neglected to us because at the Department of Transport in Dublin, they don't seem to be neglected at all. So when TIA go to the department to chat about Donegal, they're going to say that the N14 and all other routes are at the design and environmental evaluation stage, which sounds quite good. It sounds like there's great progress being made, but we know on the ground that, there's been no sod turn, so to speak.
And you say that you also believe the speed limit should be 80 kilometres per hour on that stretch. You would agree with that?
Well, in terms of the safety, yeah, 100% it would be. As soon as that road would be detrunked, if there's a dual carriageway built alongside it or something, the speed would become 80 kilometres an hour because that's the safe speed for it. At the moment, it's 100 kilometres per hour because it is such an important route.
But if you dig into this, you're not holding your breath for the dual carriageway to be built from Letterkenny to Lifford, I presume?
I believe it'll be built, yeah, but it'll be built no time soon, you know.
Yeah, it's just sometimes I wonder how we get the penny to drop with Transport Infrastructure Ireland. You know, so many issues come up and it seems to be out of our control, and then it's very hard to sort of even lobby and get any movement on stuff. Even with a council, maybe we could achieve more, but the TAI just seem to be a Dublin-based organisation unto themselves.
Yeah, and that's the centralisation's word for that, and that's the challenge of it. We have one body in Ireland for all our national primary and secondary roads, whereas in other countries in the world we might see a more decentralised approach where local authorities would be in charge of more important routes. Now, I don't know which one would work better here. Is TII better maintaining these national roads in Donegal, or would we rather have Donegal County Council maintain them? I don't really know.
I kind of think what I would like is what I would like is I don't mind the TII having overall control of budgets and all that kind of stuff, but that they felt like there was a meaningful input locally into some of the decisions that are made, or in terms of if we are of the view that there's a safety issue, that is respected. So in other words, if that conversation comes through the council to the TII and they say, right, we expect you we respect you as an authority, and this is what we are going to do about it. What happens is just we're told, oh, well, it has to be a survey this and a survey that and a traffic this and criteria that, and things move on and nothing gets done, Micheál. That's my concern.
That's very true, Greg.
All right. Okay, listen, it's been nice speaking to you. Thank you for your time. If you agree, let us know, or disagree for that matter. 086 60 25,000, that is our contact number. As you know, fine, rightly, because you use it all the time. You can also email us, of course, as you know as well, comments@highlandradio.com. Right, okay. We have a Swiftie who needs to get and see Taylor Swift, I would say. Desperate times at this point. Henry, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg. How are we?
I think I'm better than you at this point.
Yeah. No,
Right.
It's just a desperate plea. I'm just desperate. A plea on behalf of my daughter, Farah. We've tried everything to get Taylor Swift tickets. She's playing next Dublin and Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I'm just pretty much begging or wondering if any listeners who got tickets and if they are unfortunate that they can't make it next week, that I would happily take them off their hands. I know it's just a desperate plea, but clutching at straws.
And you know, unfortunately, you Henry, are amongst so many others, and the big outlet for these tickets nowadays is social media, but the scammers are out in full force, aren't they?
There's so many scams. We were close last week ourselves to sending over €800 for tickets of a friend who on Facebook. But something became suspicious while we were texting them, and then we just rang our friend to just double check, and the friend then confirmed now that her Facebook had been hacked as well. So just it's constant at the minute.
Two tickets, I presume. The appeal out there is for two tickets. Yeah, for any of the nights for Taylor Swift.
Yeah, just because. That's right. Some people mightn't be able to go for work commitments or the price of hotels or whatever. And I say it's just a long shot chance of my arm at this stage, you know.
You never know. You just never know. So any of the nights, I would say you would argue that your daughter is the biggest Taylor Swift fan in the world.
I mean, literally the biggest. She's obsessed. And that's all she wanted last year from Santa for Christmas was Taylor Swift tickets. But unfortunately, Santa couldn't get them.
Even Santa can't pull the strings sometimes.
Santa couldn't pull this one last year, is right, yeah. So as a desperate dad, I've taken it upon myself now just to try every avenue. And again, if anybody can do it, maybe Highlands listeners can help me out.
You just never know, Henry.
You know?
I presume you're a regular listener and you're not just tapping into us.
I am, of course. Whenever whenever Highland's not on in the house, it's Taylor Swift just steady.
All right.
And
Well,
that's all
no, I
fired
don't
up
mind
with
sharing.
Taylor
I don't mind
Swift.
sharing the airspace in your house with Taylor. Come here, listen. We'll see. As I think you recognise it's a long shot, but listen, you never know.
It is a long shot, of course.
Someone might have their plans may have changed, and they do pop up from time to time. Henry, you never ever know. You've tried everything out this stage, and we'll let you know if we hear anything. All right.
Greg.
Cheers, buddy.
Thanks
Take
a million.
care.
Thanks very
All right.
much.
Bye
Cheers,
bye.
bye-bye.
That's Henry there. His daughter is absolutely crazy about Taylor Swift. Obsessed. Even Santi couldn't get her the tickets. They're looking for two on any of the 3 nights, and they're just hoping that if there's any reason that one of you out there can't go, to let us know. And I think he's prepared to pay over face value for them by the sounds of things as well. Okay, so that was the thrust of his text anyway. So if you have, you can help, and I can understand why people might be reluctant to do it online. A caller says, "Hi Greg, in relation to the escalating domestic violence issue which is plaguing our society, in 2019 I had 2 motions accepted at the Sinn Féin Ardèche regarding which, if implemented, would provide important tools to help prevent domestic abuse. The first motion suggested that we legislate to carbon copy the right to ask and power to tell schemes currently available in Northern Ireland in the 26 counties. Right to ask involves the state having a register of convicted domestic abusers, individuals either in relationships or those who fear a loved one is in an abusive relationship. They have the right to confidentially ask Gardaí if an individual has a conviction for domestic abuse." I've interviewed on this before. It does seem to make a lot of sense. Power to tell obliges Gardaí to discreetly inform an individual of their partner's domestic abuse convictions in the event that someone reports a concern to the Gardaí. The contact by Gardaí must be made discreetly, and measures put in place to safely remove the person from the situation should they wish to do so upon hearing of the conviction. The second motion requested that domestic abuse convictions in other jurisdictions be permissible as evidence in court here, particularly in cases involving access to children. Currently, domestic abuse convictions in the north are not admissible in the south to the benefit of the abuser. To date, Sinn Féin has made no effort to put forward a bill on either of these national policies. I'm not sure who this person is, but I definitely interviewed someone along the lines of both of these 2 measures, because to me they seem to make a great deal of sense, and I'm open to correction or influence in relation to that. But so far, nothing. But if it's working in Northern Ireland, we can see, and if we can see it's working, then surely we can try and sort of implement that here. What do you think?
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
The 9 till Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Make more meals for less with Dunnes Stores, where you'll save in the aisle with ingredients for a vibrant burrito bowl. That's chicken thighs, 915 gram pack, just $2.99. Cooked with taco seasoning and fresh vegetables, like red onions and 69-cent loose avocados. Served with fluffy rice. All from the Dunnes Stores range. Plus, you can save again at the till with a 5 off 25 grocery voucher. Dunnes Stores. Always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next in-store grocery shop of €25 or more.
Allegations of black market fertilizer sales. For more in your Irish Farmers Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
Merchants claim farmers are sidestepping the new Department Fertilizer Register. Fears of further payment delays for 20,000 acres farmers. Government accused of overlooking small woodland owners. 1 in 5 suckler farmers plan to reduce stock numbers. Concerns over total ban on horse slaughter. Elderly farmer denied grant over cash payment. And UK demand for Irish beef expected to increase.
All inside the Irish Farmers Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
Pedio Thread Lifts and Skin Boosters, which rejuvenate the skin by improving facial contours, lifting and tightening the jowls, neck, cheeks and eyebrows, are available at Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. To choose the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. Also offering fat-dissolving treatments, dermal fillers and laser treatments for all skin conditions. Hair and makeup packages also available. Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore, 07495 325 75.
Donegal County Council, in association with Bryson Recycling, are holding a half-price bulky goods event at Stranorlar, Lahey and Dunlow Recycling Centres from the 10th of June until the 22nd of June, during site opening times. For more information and opening times, visit donegalcoco.ie or call the council on 074 9153 900.
Pre-orders for the 242 models have begun at iMotors, and you won't want to miss these incredible offers from Nissan. Enjoy 3.99% finance across the entire Nissan range, including the SUV of the year, the Nissan X-Trail. Prefer electric? Get 0% finance on the Nissan Leaf, or save a whopping €10,000. Visit our showroom in Drumkeen or Malin today and take a test drive. These offers are limited, so hurry and take advantage now.
iMotors, fearless generation.
All right, we're going to be talking Donegal International Rally a little later on in this hour. But firstly, I want to say good morning to Emma McHugh, Managing Director of Atlantic Travel in Letterkenny. How are you getting on, Emma?
Thank you, Greg.
No, it's good to have you with us. Okay, so we know now Aer Lingus pilots are taking action. They are enforcing a work to rule starting next week on June 26th. It's inevitably going to result in disruptions for holiday makers. But information, do we have any information, or is it still thin on the ground as to how this will impact?
Mm-hmm. Well, I suppose what we know at the moment, Greg, is that a work to rule is essentially a work to their roster. So pilots will work their contract and they will continue to fly the hours that they've been rostered. Compared to a full out or a 2-day strike, it is milder and less people will be impacted at the one time. However, we are going to be looking at much less notice because where they won't be able to fly will be instances where somebody could be sick or if they run over hours. So it is going to be very, very last minute in terms of cancellations at the beginning. I do envisage that this will roll on and it will get worse as the time goes on. So initially, we would expect less flights to be cancelled. However, the flying public will only really know when they get to the airport or very close to the departure time.
And we don't really know, and this is probably not a very fair thing to say, but here goes. We don't really know how cooperative the pilots would want to be. You know, in this first tranche of action, the more disruption, the quicker perhaps they might feel Aer Lingus comes to the table, just in terms of feeling sick or running over or what have you, if you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah, certainly IALPA at the moment is standing their ground. There doesn't seem to be any movement, even though the Workplace Commission has given a suggested interim pay increase. It is extremely unfair to all Aer Lingus customers and the travelling public in general. Like, it's not just outbound, it's also inbound. Like, we have so many festivals on here at the moment. We have the Fla Festival in Galway. We have different events that we have, like golfing, for example, is huge in our county. So, and we do have a lot of European customers coming in. So it's going to impact inbound as well as outbound. Now, we would hope that dispute would get resolved, and it's critical that this would happen as soon as possible. The ITAA are urging IALPA to come back to the table with the Aer Lingus. And, you know, in terms of your listeners, for anyone who does find themselves impacted by this, whether it's pre-departure in Ireland or whether they're abroad, there are huge customer protections in place under EU 261. So that's a piece of legislation between the customer and the airline for cancellation or severe delay of a flight. So,
say for instance, I'm travelling down, family of 4, park the car in the car park, I'm heading off to Malaga or wherever you might be going. You get into the terminal. Next thing it pops up, Aer Lingus flight to Malaga is cancelled. I've booked it through you or through another agent. What happened? What do we do at that point, or what happens from there?
So if you are, as you outlined, in the airport, you only get the notification there. The obligation on the airline is to either reroute at the earliest convenience with another airline. It doesn't have to be with that airline. Refund, and then there's compensation. So within 7 to 14 days, there is compensation. It varies from 250 for short haul to long haul, then it goes up to 600.
But am I likely to get a flight out on my holiday at some point? Because obviously the other airlines at this time of year are running close to capacity, you'd imagine, particularly to the top destinations.
Yeah, like if you look at the loads for this summer, this is the peak time, and this is why IALPA have chosen this particular time, because it is the most inconvenient time for reaccommodating passengers. But in terms of the financial protection piece, that is there for customers. The disruption, though, will be huge for a family of four. Arrive at the airport, they may need to. The airline may reroute them, or the airline may offer the client themselves the opportunity to book an alternative. We do know that Aer Lingus have, because they're part of IAG, a bigger airline group, they do have the option to look at British Airways, Iberia. So rerouting may be an option. It could be indirect. They would also, it appears, be in discussions with Ryanair for assistance in wet lease aircraft. So the obligation on the airline at that time is to reroute the customer and refund. The problem is when you have somebody who has possibly booked the accommodation independently. So you have your accommodation is booked, you're not arriving that day, and it's non-refundable. That is where the serious out-of-pocket expense is going to occur. So anyone that is listening that is concerned at the moment, I would suggest and look at the accommodation that they have booked. Is it refundable? What is the cancellation policies? It's good to know, just to be aware of it when you get there, that you know, okay, well, I have an option of looking at something else. If they have booked through any travel agent, then the travel agent will be there to assist them to try and reaccommodate them.
Just in that case where people choose to book differently, and many do, would your travel insurance cover any costs incurred in terms of cancelling the hotel or deferring dates or anything?
Depending on your travel insurance, you'll be looking for a travel disruption clause on your policy. So often this is an add-on, depending on the company that you've booked with. If you tend to go for a more premium product, it's generally included. If you go for a lead-in product, it's usually an add-on, very small add-on. It could be €8 to €10. But the problem is it's too late for somebody to book this now, because this is a known event. Mm-hmm. However, the travel disruption piece will usually come at a maximum capacity per person. So you could be looking at, for example, our travel disruption is capped at 1,000 per person. So for the majority of people, that will cover any travel disruption. However, if you have a policy that it's not included on, you are precluded now from adding it because it is a known event.
Yeah, of course. You can understand where that might come from. Back to the family of four, though. So I'm due to fly out on the Monday. I get to the airport. I'm told the flight is cancelled. Like, I'm still not sure. Do you go home? Do you sit around the airport? Like, are you going to get a flight the next day? I presume we're only talking about the outward part of this journey, and in other words, you could lose 2 or 3 days of your holiday theoretically. And I mean, obviously, you talked of compensation, but it shortens the holiday greatly. Like, we have to wait till we're in that space. But are the people likely to get away at some point or other?
Greg, to be completely honest, until this unfolds, we really are not going to know the impact. The first couple of days will have the least impact. As things roll on, it will be greater, and I would say that the impact on the flying public will be more severe. However, we would envisage that for the main leisure routes, they will be the routes that will be cancelled last. So say the Barcelona, Rome, Mallorca, the Canaries, those main leisure routes, I would imagine will be the ones that will be the last to be cancelled. Yeah. But in terms of your family at the airport, what do they do? What they don't do is just do something on their own. They need to have instructions from the airline in terms of their assistance. Are they going to be covered? Yes, they are going to be covered for accommodation should their flight not go out to the next day, and any reasonable expenses for food until their flight departs. But they need to have that confirmation from Aer Lingus that they can go and book it themselves, or Aer Lingus may say, we have an allocation of accommodation, you need to take ours. So the important thing is to wait for instruction from the airline before you arrange anything further.
Are there any consequences for me if I fly out in the knowledge that I could have difficulties getting home? in terms of insurance and what have you? Because let's face it, if I do get on that flight and it's not cancelled, I'm getting on that in the full knowledge that it's possible, if not probable, that my return flight may be unavailable.
No. Well, this is where the travel insurance piece is so important, and we would always urge people to take it out at the time of booking, because that is pre any of this information coming into the public, and therefore you're covered. So even if you go out and you travel knowing that there could be disruption coming home, your policy was taken out at a particular time where none of this was an issue. So your travel insurance, and should you be delayed a day or two coming home, most travel insurance policies will then kick on free of charge for those extra couple of days until you return to your home destination.
Yeah, but it's a big responsibility because, if you're there, maybe you have a business appointment to get back to, or you're not sure that your children will be looked after in the proper accommodation or what have you with you. It is something to consider. Is this an all-island situation or just the Republic of Ireland, just for those who might be flying out of other Belfast Airport, for example?
Yeah, it's all Aer Lingus. So Aer Lingus do have service out of Belfast City. It is mainly, though, to the UK. So it is, they have Southampton and they have Heathrow flights. But the bulk of customers will be affected, will be travelling from Dublin and further south, Cork and Shannon too. So it's an awful thing for families to have waited for so long and saved so much for a holiday, and this taking the shine off it before they're due to travel. And it is something that we are very aware of for our customers in trying to assist where possible to help and reaccommodate. But it's hugely disruptive to the travelling public, and we would hope that it is resolved sooner rather than later.
All right, fingers crossed. All right, Emma, thanks so much for your time. I really do appreciate it and answering the questions so clearly for us. Emma McHugh, Managing Director of Atlantic Travel Letterkenny.
Looking for the perfect pair of shoes? Master Shoe have it all. Whether you want summer sandals, casual trainers, a comfortable boot, a suit shoe, or the perfect occasion wear heel, shop Master Shoe Ballybuffet for women's and men's footwear for every occasion.
Don't miss the 32nd annual Finn Valley Show at Russell Brothers Farm, Killygordon on Saturday 29th of June, featuring the usual dog, home industries, poultry, sheep, cattle, horse and pony classes, as well as the Fast and Furious Donkey Derby. There will be a show and shine tractor competition judged by Kirsty Ward from Grassmen, with live music from Anthony Redstone, trade stands and children's entertainment. It's sure to be a family fun day at the Finn Valley Show on Saturday 29th. This ad is sponsored by Clonley Co-op, serving the farming community since 1952.
Boost your brain function with Remind supplements. Visit Healthwise Pharmacies for the innovative Life Meter test. In just 1 minute, measure your carotenoid levels from a simple fingertip scan. Understanding your diet can help you take charge of your brain health. Remind's blend of carotenoids and omega-3 fatty acids supports normal brain function. Make an appointment today at Ballyrain and Dunlow Healthwise Pharmacies. Take the first step towards a healthier brain with Remind.
The Euros are heating up, and at Centra we have you covered. Buy one Nestle Aero sharing bar, one Dorito sharing bag, and one Fanta Sprite or Coke 4-can pack selected range, all three for €6 plus deposit. Goodfellas deep pan baked selected pizzas only €2, and Screaming Devil Côte de Provence only €12. Centra. Live every day. Enjoy alcohol sensibly.
It's your fault. You deserve it. It's all in your head. They don't mean it. They can change. Recognizing male domestic abuse can be hard. Seeking support can be harder. For confidential advice and support, free phone the National Male Advice Line on 1-800-816-588. MAL, more than just a helpline.
If you're organising an event, you might be surprised by everything BizPrint offer. From photo props, backdrops and banners to tablecloths, pens, keyrings and mugs. Everything to make your event a success. Call BizPrint on 9177955 or see bizprint.ie.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Okay, it is quite literally one of the biggest sporting events on the Donegal calendar, and for many, no doubt, it is the biggest sporting event, and that is the Donegal International Rally. And in studio with me, we have our own Oisín Kelly, Head of Sport. Hi, Oisín.
Morning.
Yes, it is indeed. Good morning. Brian Brogan, Chair of the Donegal Motor Club. Hiya, Brian.
Good morning, Greg.
And last but not least, of course, the clerk of the course, Eamon McGee. Hi, Eamon.
Good morning, Greg.
Oh, Eamon always shy of the microphone. Oisin, will you help a man out?
Nice and tight there.
Come here, Eamon. How's the work been going so far in prepping things and all that kind of stuff?
It's been a hectic couple of weeks, Greg. But again, we have a good team of men out there working, and they're out tidying up the loose ends this morning. Hopefully going to in the showing for tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock. First car due on Malin at 11 o'clock tomorrow. So all looking good for now. Yeah.
What are the greatest challenges in sort of your role, Eamon, in advance of the rally?
It's challenging this last while. You know, you try and you pick a stage and you say, right, that's a good stage. When we have to deal with PR issues and residents and get everybody on board and get the whole route and show that it suits. And like, you know, a lot of work goes into it as well. Like, you have to get radio coverage on them stages. You know, you could have a best stage, but you couldn't get radio. So all that has to be looked at and worked on. And there have been boys out there every weekend this last 7 or 8 weeks making sure that everything's in place. Like.
Yeah, and Brian, as chair of the Motor Club, the Donegal Motor Club, obviously huge faith in Eamon and his team. Everything's in place now, just ready for a great event.
Absolutely, Greg. Yeah, and Eamon sort of maybe belittles it a bit there. There's a lot more to it than what Eamon actually states, and he's a very good team on the ground and has been working very hard since September of last year in it. And your setup and a lot of the logistics from like sort of Motorsport Ireland and safety and all of that has to be brought together in place. And I suppose he has a very good team and his rally manager Kieran Doherty, who wouldn't be happy unless I mentioned him, and Suzanne McLafferty, who is the secretary now, who have done tremendous work over the last few months. And there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that goes on a daily basis, which is it's really fantastic to see it all coming together. And now at this stage that they have the plan worked. Now it's about working the plan now to roll it out.
And the decision, Eamon, to go back to Inishowen after quite a hiatus, has that been in the works for a while, or was it just decided between the last rally and this?
No, it has been like there's a good bunch of guys down in Inishowen, and they've been asking for this. So we went to Donegal Town last year, big success, and I says, right, it could have been easily said, right, we'll go back and repeat that again, but I said, look, we'll put a new challenge and take the Inishowen men on board, and we said we'll go down to Inishowen and we'll see what's there, and it is some fantastic stages down there.
And what's the feedback been from drivers so far? Because there's plenty of drivers that are going to be taking part that will not have driven this course before. What's the feedback like?
Well, I think maybe Oisin will answer that. He talked to some of them there.
Yeah, this week, excuse me, Greg. They're getting fantastic feedback on Inishowen. It's a new challenge for them. So it's like 13 years is it since it was last used. But particularly the Cool Cross stage was used previously in a harvest. But you're going into Malin Head and you're going to Memorial Gap, so it's all new for most of the drivers, and they've been very, very impressed with particularly those first two stages. And the second half of Memorial Gap they seem to be impressed with as well, because it seems to be a stage that has everything in it, and they feel that the stages are proper international Donegal stages, and it's a fantastic way to
fair
as well the event. And fair as well, because yes, there may be older drivers and navigators that would have done them years ago.
There was some felt the stages around Ballantrae were more advantage to some than to others. I can't remember the exact details of it, but I remember not in a negative
way.
Well,
there'll be local knowledge as well. There will be any showing men who are competing in the event would like to feel that they
need a hand.
I was speaking to a young guy, Kyle McBride, this week. He's going to be one of the younger competitors this year, but give him 4 or 5 years, and the likes of Kyle McBride and Ryan McHugh, two Donegal men, have big careers ahead of them. But Kyle is from down the Carndonagh area. Yeah. So you would be thinking maybe there might be a bit of local knowledge with Kyle and his class.
And the field is the mix you want, hasn't it? You want the former winners, you want the mainstays, and you want some new faces as well, and that's what's been delivered.
The best of Irish rallying, and some of the UK guys are here this week, Greg. And like when you look at the lineup in the top 10 and who's there, they all want to be here. There's former winners in there. Callum Devine's got number 1 in the car. How much pressure is there now on the young man from Derry? Well, we keep calling him young man, but he's not so young as what he was when he first started a couple of years ago. But what sort of pressure is number one on the door going to carry with Callum Devine and Noel O'Sullivan? Because there's no doubt breathing down the back of his neck is Keith Cronin's, to me, he's a world-class driver. He's a multi-British champion, so he is. And Matt Edwards is there, seated at number 3, who's got a lot more seat time in this Ford Fiesta. He'll be gunning for it as well. That's just the top 3. And then outside of that, Josh Moffat's a former winner. I was down with the guys who brought over the Toyota Yaris last night. Melvin Evans Motorsport and Pro Global Consultancy have brought this car to Donegal for the very first time. It was here for Carlo a couple of weeks ago, but it's the first time it's going to compete at international level and an Irish Tarmac Championship round. And listen, it's a fantastic machine, so it is. And this is going to be the future of rallying, they believe, this Toyota Yaris. So there's going to be a lot of noise about this car this weekend, and a lot of spectators will be out to see the car, but how will it perform? We'll to see, because it's still very much in the development stage behind the wheel of Marion Evans, son of Melvin Evans. So that's another angle to the rally. And listen, the list goes on. Then you've got the modified men. Kevin Gallagher, local man. Ryan Moore going for 3 in a row in the Darien. Yeah. And you have a whole host of Donegal boys coming behind him. Kevin Eves, Declan Gallagher, Mark Alcorn. Who else is in there, Brogan? This is more, or Brian, this is more your field, so it is. What are you saying, Kelly?
It's real rally. You're not the Sister Sarah's now, boys. We use our first names. We use the first names.
But there's a fantastic field there.
Yeah.
There's a fantastic. When you see that there was 70 on the reserve before the event even started.
Talk about that, Brian, the reserve, because for those who aren't familiar with the lingo necessarily, that means far more people wanted to take part than spaces are available.
That's right. You had 71 in the reserve. You know, and you can run 205 cars. I mean, it's enough to do 2.5 rallies, we'll say, of an average event. And those people, a lot of the people in the reserve would have been people that maybe was unfortunate that hadn't got results and maybe didn't marshal enough. Done maybe a bit, but not enough to get actually into the event. And there is a criteria in place there, but you do need to have results. Results comes in favour, and then marshalling and support that help the club go into different events and making that happen. It's a part of the criteria that does support a lot of the people that maybe just unfortunate that they don't get the result, but they still go and compete and work hard at the event. So at this point, to be fair, a lot of the people that did work hard and marshal, I would say, are in at this point. Which is great. It's great for us to see, because we need help at all times, and to go to different events we still need people to go from Donegal Motor Club to support other clubs, because we're dependent on them to come support us this weekend. And they all do. There's a good comradeship there between clubs all over the country.
Yeah, weather-wise, Oisin,
just looking, tomorrow's given for a bit of rain, which will make it interesting.
It's not going to be heavy rain.
It's not going to be heavy rain, but it's still going to make, there'll be damp, slippy conditions.
And
there.
there's a tyre selection then, because you could start off in wet conditions or dry conditions, and then end up.
If it is raining and it's not that heavy, it'll be more likely possibly intermediates that they'll be on. And if it's bone dry, they'll be going to the slicks and maybe cutting them. But we have to. It could be hammering down with rain in Malin Head. And you could be going to Mamore Gap, and it could be bone dry. And that's just the way it is. And there's not too many miles between those two stages, but it's the way the weather is in June. Now Saturday and Sunday seems to be okay. It's going to be dry, but with these new stages and the weather tomorrow, it could make for an interesting start. And Greg, we were talking about competitors, and we know we always mention the head of the field. You have to remember the young guy that's starting out in his motorsport career, that basically has his communion money in a bank somewhere and he's been saving for this day. And there's a few guys in there that's going to do the Donegal Rally for the first time, and this has been their life for the last number of years, saving up, buying a rally car, doing probably 80% of the work on the car themselves, getting it ready for this. So it's like Christmas Day to some of these young fellas who will be heading off into that first stage, and they're a lot further down the field, and you can't forget about them either, because they would be seen as this is no disrespect to the guys at the front, but they're clubmen, so they are, and they give everything to it. And there's long nights over the last number of weeks getting ready for this event.
Yeah, indeed, it's going to be something else. In terms of people who want to go and see it, obviously, Eamon, is it you might as clerk of the course might have this one. This is a spectator sport. There's going to be thousands of rally fans that want to go and watch the stages. So if you don't have the local... A lot of people have been at this game for a while and they'll know the little tricks and what have you, or where you can go. So what is the process of going along and watching the rally if someone wants to bring, kids that are of age now, for an example?
Probably a lot of this, like you take... We have the area maps there now and they find the locations, but it's just to find somewhere safe. It's one of the things that we brought on a couple of years ago was you take the likes of Nagala. We've field taken there. You park the cars in the field and there's buses running there for the first 2 or 3 hours of the morning, taking people up to Advantage Point to the top of the hill. Now that works and not very easy, especially with families with young children. They just put them in the bus up the town.
I think it's something in maybe it's the same thing in Downings.
Something in Downings, yeah.
You park your car up and there's local lads
bus
you.
On now. And it's working and they're Donegal on the mountain, a safe place, a safe spectating. Like we have marshals on the hill there to make sure that everybody is safe. But we do several things like that, but for the ordinary rallyman, they have like I've been seeing
just follow the jeans and the brown shoes and you'll get to it.
Yeah. Buy a program, Greg.
I'm joking.
But it's very simple. Buy a program. The map is there. It shows you where to go. It tells you where there's no spectator access. There's also an app called Rally Stages.
People coming to this all the time.
And there's an app called Rally Stages, which has been used for the first time in Donegal, which also has all that information on it. So if you purchase both of those, then the programs are available in most of the filling stations across Donegal, and that's the simplest solution to figure out where you want to go.
Brian Brogan?
Yeah, I will just stress that on the maps there, you will see, Greg, that no spectator access is identified on a few days, and that will be strictly no spectator access. So I would ask all spectators that are attending to heed them, because it will be the case that spectator control will be part of the course cars and they will be removing them people from the locations where there is no spectator access.
This is not anyone's first rodeo, and this isn't all happening by accident. There's a lot of planning and organisation and experience has gone into this. It's so critical, isn't it, Brian, that the stewards are listed, and a lot of these are volunteers, right? These aren't the guards of the army. These are fellow fans, and they've got the experience to keep people safe, so you can get where you're allowed to go, when you're allowed to go, and enjoy the rally in as safe as possible environment, Brian.
It is a very much controlled zone from start to finish. There are times there's arrival times, start times, and they need to be adhered to. And spectator control is there for the spectators' interest, to let them know that they're in prohibited areas. Some people, maybe for the first time, may not understand that a prohibited area means that you should not be near it, shouldn't interfere with it at all. And that does delay. And in some cases in this country, it did happen where it actually cancelled stages. Now, that's not somewhere we want to go.
No, of course not.
We want everything to run in conjunction with the planning that has been put in place. There's a lot of very good volunteers out here that know exactly what they're doing. They're well used at it, well trained at it, and I would ask all spectators just to heed the marshals and the officials at all times for their own safety.
And Eamon, sorry as well too, and 99% people are, of course, but to be respectful of property and landowners as well.
100%, Greg. And the other thing as well that we find in the past with other events is try and get there as early as you can.
Yeah.
Don't be just coming
Last
5 minutes before your car then and you're walking up a road and they find then to walk up the road and have nowhere to go, and they're not in their prohibited area. So like we have no option but then to just on safety grounds to just maybe, slow things down.
Okay, well, we don't want that. Right, we are in the company of Eamon McGee, Brian Brogan, Oisín Kelly. We're going to dig a bit deeper, I suppose, into the runners and riders and what to expect over the weekend after we take this break.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
The neighbours have done it. Your friends have done it. Even your mum's done it. Now you can do it too. Save €10,000 on a new Nissan Leaf. There's never been a better time to switch to electric. Nissan Leaf with €10,000 off for a limited time only. Visit nissan.ie or contact your local Nissan dealer right now for details. Nissan. Innovation that excites. Savings inclusive of €3,500 SEAI EV grant. Terms and conditions apply.
Introducing SuperValue's new Real Rewards prices. Scan your card or app and get Ariel and Fairy non-bio powder 50 wash, now €10. And Andrex Gentle Clean toilet tissue 24 roll was €13, now €10. Plus save even more with weekly vouchers on the Real Rewards app. Make real savings every week at SuperValue.
The best way to start a night out in Letterkenny is at the Woodbury Grill Bar and Restaurant Arena 7. Great food combined with bowling, Laser Quest, or our interactive darts for a great night. The Woodbury Grill Bar and Restaurant Arena 7.
Here at Kelly Cleaning Equipment, we have everything you need to clean your home, garden and business. As an official Gold Plus cashier dealer, we offer brand-leading domestic and commercial pressure washers, vacuum cleaners, floor scrubbers, steam cleaners, carpet cleaners and much more. Come and see us at Eurohouse, Killybegs Road, Donegal Town, or online at kellycleaningequipment.ie. And for a limited time only, claim up to €150 cashback when purchasing a Cashier Professional pressure washer. Kelly Cleaning Equipment. Choose Cashier.
Rally fever is building in the northwest. Join Highland Radio for live coverage of the Donegal International Rally on air and online at highlandradio.com in association with Voodoo Venue Letterkenny, Donegal's premier entertainment venue, where this Rally Friday, playing live It's My Generation.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhinney's. Support local at McElhinney's. With 53 years experience in fashion, beauty and home, we're here for you. Plus, enjoy M-Card rewards when you shop in-store at McElhinney's Ballybuffet.
So mostly cloudy today with isolated light patches of rain and drizzle at times, but overall a fair amount of dry weather, as is sort of the trend for the weekend, I think. Temperatures 16 to 18 degrees in light, moderate, occasionally southwest winds. Oisin, I'm kind of pretty much going to hand it over to you now at this point because I want everyone to get all the right information if they're listening to find out about what's going on, what they should know, and so on and so forth. Go ahead.
Our coverage or about the rally overall? About our coverage of the rally overall, you asking?
Whatever, I'm saying I'm really handing it over to you now.
Because you're done, are you?
No, I'm not done, but everything I have to be able to waffle about it has been taken from me. Brian gave me a map. I thought, right, I could do something with the map. No, give that to me. Brian gave me a program. Oh no, I need that. So I'm sitting here with your names.
Right.
That's what I have.
Well, we'll start with stages then.
Yeah, go ahead.
We'll start with stages. Well, as we mentioned, Greg, any showing, there's 6 stages on Friday. The first car is due on Malin Head just after 11 o'clock, and they'll be back in Letterkenny at Park Fermate, which is at the ATU on the Port Road at round about 5 to 7 tomorrow evening, and they'll be actually leaving out of Park Fermate tomorrow night at 9. But before that, we're going to come forward today, or back a day rather, which is the Thursday. There's a lot happening today, more so than ever before. 12 o'clock down at McGinley Motors on the Pierce Road, scrutineering is taking place where the cars are assessed by officials to see that they're in the right spec and the right working order to take part in a Donegal International Rally. So that'll take place over a number of hours, and supporters can go down and stand behind the railing and get a look and see that process. Then later on from 5:30 on the Port Road beside Ingrannon Theatre, we're going to have the start of the ceremonial start. There'll be live music, all being orchestrated by John Dolan. Plus, there'll be a number of former cars that have competed here in Donegal. The likes of Bertie Fisher's Manta is coming. Colin McRae's 6R4.
6R4s, yeah.
That was here in the mid-noughties is going to be there. And there's going to be a few more. And Kevin Glendenning will be overseeing that. The actual ceremonial start will begin then just shortly after 7 o'clock on the ramp, which will be on the Port Road. Now, the Port Road will be closed off from 3. And we'll bring you that ceremonial start live here in Highland tonight as well. We'll take the first 30 minutes of that. So that's where the top 30 or 40 crews make their way. There's a ramp there. The cars will be there, and we'll get a word with them. And there'll be a nice atmosphere around the event at Ingrannon Theatre. And then, this might be a Thursday night driver's briefing, if I'm right, Brian. It's usually on the Friday at Ingrannon Theatre on the Friday morning, but it's now pulled forward to Thursday night at 9 o'clock. Tonight we'll have the driver's briefing because that frees up tomorrow to head away early to the show. So we went through what was happening on the Friday in the stages: Mamore Gap, Malin Head, Could Cross. On Saturday there is 8 more stages to come, and they're going to be at it early on Saturday morning with Knockalla at 5 to 10. They'll be leaving Park Fermate at around 8:30, and the 2 stages that will be done twice, 4 in total, Knockalla and Gary Gort down around the Milford, Rathmullen, Ramelton areas. The classic that is Knockalla gets things underway, and if those guys that are leading the way that we talked about earlier, Greg, are still involved after Friday, you could see big moves in those opening stages. So they're going to be run twice, and then in the afternoon we have High Glen, which moves from a Sunday to a Saturday and is done in reverse, and then we've got Lochkeel, which returns to the Donegal International after a few years' absence. And those stages obviously down in and around the Glen area and up in the Termon and outside Kilmacrennan as well. So they will be back into Park Fermy. Just looking at the times, back into Letterkenny at around 20 to 7. So that's going to be a very, very long day. So it is. And if you are out and about and you are following the stages, the best advice we can give you, you know what, pick a stage in the morning, stay there for a couple of hours, watch maybe twice in Knockalla, and then in the afternoon move then to one of the other 2. That's probably the best way to do it if you want to follow the rally on the Saturday. And then Sunday, we have to go back a couple of years where the lead actually changed 3 times in the Sunday morning. Josh Moffat started the day, he was either 3rd or 4th, and he ended up winning the rally. So some might say it's just a walk home on the Sunday. It's far from it. There's 6 more stages, and stages that have become classics of Donegal. Garton's going to be done twice. Atlantic Drive's going to be done twice. So is Fannet Head, and the action is going to wrap up outside Port Salin round about 5 o'clock on Sunday, with them due back at the finish ramp in Letterkenny at 6. So that is the schedule of the rally, Greg.
Brilliant stuff. Okay, and there's all different types of cars as well.
All different types of cars. Look, there's a program here. There's 152 different types of cars in the main field. We can't name everybody, because if we do, we're going to be here for the next hour or so. But myself and Eamon were talking just off air. We have to mention the historics and the juniors who become part of the race as well on the Saturday and the Sunday. And one man that we'll be watching, no pressure on him at all, Liam Regan is his name, and he's from County Antrim. And alongside him is a man that you have no idea of, Greg, William Cretan, who is the World Junior Rally Champion.
There you go.
He's also from Ireland, and he normally drives. O'Regan is his navigator. They were crowned world champions last year. They're coming to Donegal to have a bit of crack in a Skoda Estelle 130L. Never heard of one of them in my life before, but it's the Skoda's going to be in the historics, and the 2 boys are swapping seats.
1.6 Octavia, I take it.
Yeah, something like that.
So what about the coverage?
Highlands coverage, right? Where do we start, Greg? David James this afternoon, 2:30 to 5. Is going to be in the Voodoo Lounge in Letterkenny. A pre-rally build-up with music. The likes of Whistling Donkeys, Claudia Buckley,
Brilliant.
Nathan Carter will be there, and we'll be talking a few rally bits and bobs as well, so we will. And obviously the Voodoo venue and the Pulse Nightclub, again, jumping on board as they have been doing for a very long time as our coverage sponsors.
And the overall event, the Wilton Recycling as well, hugely important, presumably.
And so that starts this evening. Again, as I said, ceremony will start from 7:05. We'll be live on Highland, and then we're into the thick of it. Myself and Chris Ashmore and Seamus McGinnigan will be along with us as well. We're going to tear into the stages. We'll be at the end of most of them this year, bringing you as much coverage as we can. We'll be in service with interviews and discussions, and it'll be available on air, on FM, and on the website, and on our social channels.
Excellent stuff.
It's just going to be wall-to-wall Donegal
Yeah.
International Rally coverage on Highland this weekend.
And Brian, just to come back to you, it has to be very clear here, and over the last couple of years I've been trying very hard to make this differentiation. There's an event on here, a big event that is attracting the cream of the crop and people from all over the country. It's the jewel in the crown of rallying in Ireland, and they're all doing it safely, and they're all doing it in a controlled environment. There is also an element that comes here, probably never sees the stage of the rally, that's outside of your control, really, if the truth be told, in bringing these millions of euro into the region. All we can do, I suppose, and we'll speak to the Guardian and what have you tomorrow, Brian, is to emphasise the importance of keeping the race in its place, respecting yourself, respecting the roads, respecting residents, so that we don't see, a repeat of stuff we've seen in the past.
Yeah. I think you firmed it up very well there, Greg, and you have done in the past too. And to be fair, you have made the definition of exactly what you have said. And what we do is run a rally for competitors that are actually licensed. That's what they do. They race from point to point on a stage, and they are under the insurance and the control of Motorsport Ireland and Donegal Motor Club. and we run the event from start to finish for them competitors, but that's all we run. We don't run some of the side shows that actually go on other locations, and that's okay, that's their business and they can do that. But the one thing that we do encourage, and we do work with the Gardaí in a big way and all the emergency services, and in a bigger way this year I would say than any. We have a meeting since before Christmas on this and work really good together with control rooms, and we share control rooms with them, and we all try and assist one another as best we can. What is going to be happening this weekend will be that we'll be running very closely, working in conjunction with the Gardaí and asking everyone that is following the event to do exactly what we were asking them to do, and that is to heed the marshals and the officials, keep the race in its place, do exactly what we want you to do, and keep your head up high, because some of the stuff that goes on off stages, it's nothing at all to do with us, and you're correct, we do need to differentiate from that. And again, we're asking everyone just to do exactly what we want them to do, and feel that's the proper thing for us to do on the event.
Brian Brogan, Chair of the Donegal Motor Club, best of luck with the weekend. Eamon McGee, you and your team doing great work, of course. You as Clerk of the Course, a great weekend. Oisín Kelly, we'll hear plenty of you. We don't have time for me to ask, would you prefer to be doing this weekend or Donegal versus Dublin in an All-Ireland semi-final? I wouldn't ask you that, it'd be unfair.
Or elections again.
Or elections. Right, okay, listen, we'll leave it at that.
You come rallying with us this weekend.
All right, listen guys, thanks so very much indeed.
Thank you, Greg. Thanks, Greg.
Thanks very much.
And we will be chatting to Gardaí again tomorrow, just to give you an idea of road closures, the safety implementation outside of the Donegal International Rally. They're in charge of policing the hangers on and the people that can cause issues. It is not the participants that are the issue here. It's the people that come up and just want to treat Donegal as if it's a playground for them. That's the Guards' responsibility. We're going to be talking to them, of course, on the programme tomorrow. I'm not going to be doing it though. Donald Kavanagh will. I'm going to see Pink. That's how butch I am. You can all play with your rally cars, and I'm going to go and see Pink. All right then, see you.